Cal to Arkansas.
John
What?
Calipari.
Okay. I missed that.
Happened overnight.
Oh my goodness.
It was developing at like 10 o'clock last night.
Okay. I love Muss to USC.
Yes, I do too.
I think that's a great fit.
It is a great fit.
Cal at Arkansas, I don't think seems like a great fit.
Well, he's getting $5 million a year in NIL money.
Okay.
Remember, there's what? There's Walmart and there's Tyson Foods.
Right.
Yeah, money's not an issue at Arkansas. No, I'm serious. There are not many places in the SEC that have better facilities than Arkansas. You name it. You walk around there, you go, damn.
Not gonna lie, a little hungover this morning.
Should we break into a Woo Pig Suey chant?
I mean, good reset for him, I guess.
Yeah, it's good for all parties. They were sick of each other. The only reason they didn't fire him was because it was $33 million to fire him. So now they let him go for free. This is perfect. Look at those two responses within seconds of each other in the Twitch chat room. Sports fans are great. Yes, they were, Coffin Ball. Yes, they were.
Okay. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this second Monday of April. It's another national championship night after all. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks so much for being with us. You need to tune in, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Don't have to do it all the time. You can even do it a couple times a month. Need to do it this morning. Mark Miller with a great t-shirt on. Yes, that's right. You can have a great t-shirt, and he is wearing one. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. How are you this morning, David?
I'm fired up. I got a good night's sleep. And, see, that's what happens when you put the national championship game on at 3 p.m.
Exactly. My wife said, why is this on so early? I said, quiet. What are you talking about? This is wonderful. This is perfect.
So people can watch it. Never mind. But Mark Miller wearing a Carver High t-shirt.
And you should just stop right there, because if they don't know, it's not worth explaining.
Right. Then they don't know. And if they do know, well, there you go. If you don't know, look up the white shadow. The defense rests.
So, David, I had an interesting thing happen yesterday.
Okay.
My daughter is a great little athlete. And I don't know if she's great at anything, but she participates in 3 sports. She's very athletic. She has a lot of fun with it, and she's a great little athlete. She has fun.
Okay, so she's eager. We don't know if she's great talent-wise, right?
I don't know.
She's an eager athlete.
Yeah, but she loves to participate.
Right.
She's into it. She has her favorite sport, which is gymnastics out of the 3 that they play.
Oh, boy.
And so last night, we've been pressing her to be a little more active with it. And one of the things that she has to do is stretch.
Right.
So last night, we decided as a family, we were going to do the stretching exercises with my daughter.
What?
David, I nearly couldn't get out of bed this morning.
What? Are you out of your mind? You're going to try to stretch with a 9-year-old?
Correct. She led the family in a stretch last night.
They don't have muscles they can pull yet.
Again, correct.
Your whole body can be pulled.
David, my legs are so sore this morning from, again, stretching.
Right.
That the first 3 steps out of bed were painful. And I know anybody that's over the age of 50 goes, you're damn right the first 3 steps out of bed are painful. But this is more than the normal get out of bed and nearly fall on your face first step.
So in other words, things are sore that you didn't know you had.
Damn right.
Yep. That's a dumb. I thought you and your wife were. She's a doctor, for goodness sakes.
Oh, she's in great shape. She had no problem doing any of the stretching.
Well, how did she wake up this morning?
In a great mood.
Oh, man, great.
She looked at me and she goes, you know, you're not supposed to be sore from stretching. The idea of stretching is that you feel better.
Hey, take it easy, young lady.
Exactly.
Take it easy. Don't you realize you're married to an old guy? That's what happens, you know. You marry him, not old. Guess what happens over time? Old. Take it easy now. Besides, he's doing all the cooking and the cleaning. Remember, he has to clean before Molly Maid shows up. That's a whole other story. Man.
So I am sore this morning like that,
Man.
that I haven't been, and it feels fantastic. It's not like, you know, it's not like you don't know where it came from. So I feel like I accomplished something, but then I think about it even longer and feel worse about myself because, well, you hurt yourself by stretching.
That's like when you do yoga for the first time and you're like, this is hard. Man. Please, my wife's just trying to get me to do Tai Chi. I, of course, said to her, I don't drink tea.
Right.
Right. And that's not working. So she's trying to get me to do 7 minutes a day of Tai Chi. I don't know. Seems like 7 minutes too many to me. But we'll see.
Does that come with a side?
I hope so. To me, Tai Chi does seem like an appetizer.
It sounds like it.
Right.
Give me 3 of those Tai Chi, a couple of egg rolls.
I'm just wondering, honey, do I eat the Tai Chi before my Pop-Tart? What am I doing here? No?
Thought about you yesterday. Had to do the shopping, the whole day of different stores and walked into Publix and Pop-Tarts were on sale.
There you go.
They were like discounted too. It was like $2 a rack.
Oh, that's where you go 5 for 10.
That's exactly what it was.
Yep, there you go. All of a sudden, you come home with 5 boxes of Pop-Tarts. What's this? They were on special. Just leave me alone. Don't worry. We'll need more someday.
I will say I did not need to be taped up before the show or in between segments. I don't know if you watched any of the golf last night.
Dislocates his shoulder, okay, on a putt?
No, on a celebration of a putt.
Well, that's what I mean. So, man, nothing screams golfer more than dislocating your shoulder after a putt.
Yeah, that's the softest athlete on the planet today.
But at least he didn't chunk it into the water on the playoff hole.
After shooting 63 and 28 on the backside. Wow.
I know. And then chunk. So much for momentum, huh? 7 birdies in a row. Chunk. But, hey, we had some news overnight. There are people who are waking up this morning going, what are you guys talking about? Including our fine producer. By the way, Trent, good morning. You've had about a week darn near of the parents in town visiting you. You know, the money train's about to leave town.
Well, also, I mean, the parents in town has taken a little bit of a toll on the sleep schedule. It's great. I wouldn't trade it for the world. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
You would.
Yeah.
They've out. It's 4 days. They're done.
Right. You
Send
needed to
them
go to bed
away.
early last night, didn't you? Right.
Good morning,
Hey.
though, David. Good morning.
So it's about to the point where they could just leave the $300 in an envelope and leave town early, is what you're saying. Okay. I mean, love you, Mom, Dad. Okay, just slide the envelope under the door. Don't you guys have somewhere to go?
They're going to Augusta right after this, so I guess they do.
Miller and Moulton on this Monday, but we got some news overnight before we get to the stuff that happened over the weekend, and we'll go as far back as Friday night. But John Calipari leaving Kentucky for Arkansas. Hello. 5-year deal. I don't know how much his salary is. I'm going to guess it's around $8 million a year, but it's already been released. He's getting $5 million a year in NIL. So his team's salary cap is $5 million.
And we'll see what he can do with that.
Right. Have you ever been at a job where you left and the employer was like, "Oh, thank goodness."
Every job I've left.
No. Not that they've asked you to leave, not that they've pushed you out the door. I mean, you couldn't afford to leave. They couldn't afford for you to leave. You both were sick of each other, however.
No, David. No, usually they get sick of me.
Right. No, I hear
And
you.
I leave.
I hear you. There was one place actually that I left where we were both sick of one another, and I still had 3 years left on a contract. It was when I did TV in Fort Myers.
I was going to say that's the only job you left voluntarily that I know. There's a couple others, but that's
one other. I left Fargo to come to Fort Myers. I left that voluntarily. But yeah, I mean, remember I joked when I left the TV station in Fort Myers, I got the big Publix cookie.
They bought you a cookie.
I mean, I nearly had tears in my eyes.
What do you think they got John Cal in Kentucky? A horse? His own bourbon distillery? Because trust me, they didn't want to pay what was the buyout? 33 million?
33, correct.
Right. They didn't want to pay the 33 million.
Right.
But they wanted him out. And
no doubt.
And the fans wanted him out.
Yes. And obviously John wanted to leave too. It's just, didn't have another place to go to where he thought he could win at, I guess. I don't know. But he's got Walmart money and Tyson Foods money in Northwest Arkansas, man. And let me tell you, if you've never been, there aren't many places that have better facilities in Arkansas. Money is not the issue at Arkansas. Fayetteville, actually, neat place to live. All right, good people, very affordable. Not that John Cal has to worry about that, but I'm just saying. But yes, leaving Kentucky for Arkansas, done deal. Right. It all started because Andy Enfield left USC for SMU. So then the guy at Arkansas left Arkansas to go to USC. So now the guy at Kentucky leaves to go to Arkansas. So now the Kentucky job's available. But I'm just wondering how many of you out there, they weren't going to fire you, but they were sick of you and you were sick of them, and you just didn't have anywhere to go to. And then finally, you found a place to go to, and you said, "I'm leaving." And the boss was like, "Oh, man, can we pay for your move? All right, is there anything we can do? Thank you so much for not your time here, but for leaving. Thank you so much." So there you have it.
That was a biggie. That one caught me by. I don't get shocked anymore by sports news, but that was a pretty big surprise because I thought the dominoes had fallen
Right.
And Coach Cal was staying.
Nope. He was just staying for 2-3 more weeks. That's all. So Ryan in our Twitch chat room said, I had to make sure this wasn't an April Fool's joke. I had to check multiple sources. And so, yes, let the name carousel begin. Does Billy Donovan leave the NBA and come back to college? No, Jay Wright is not unretiring. We all know the names. Miller and Moulton. We all know Caitlin Clark, Iowa, South Carolina national title games next.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready for an event like no other? Join Jason and Todd at the Diamond District this weekend for their exclusive estate buying and selling event. It's time to dust off the old jewelry and dig out those fine timepieces you no longer wear. The Diamond District will pay top dollar for your unwanted treasures. Why let your valuable pieces gather dust when they could be putting cash in your pocket? That's not all. For those looking for exquisite jewelry at unbeatable prices, the Diamond District has you covered with a stunning selection of estate jewelry, meticulously curated and priced to sell. From dazzling diamonds and exotic gemstones to timeless Rolex watches, you'll find the perfect piece to elevate your style. Join the Diamond District this weekend for their estate buying and selling event, where they pay more for your jewelry and fine timepieces and sell for less. Don't miss out. Jason and Todd are in the store nearly every day and look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh yeah, there's an eclipse today.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big deal for a lot of people.
Sure is.
How was Dick Barnett not already in the Hall of Fame?
There are a few people in New York who asked that question. I got to admit, we can do a segment on this. I'm sorry, and I'm going to piss the two of you off, but Chauncey Billups, a Hall of Famer, is a joke. Michael Cooper, a Hall of Famer, is a joke. A joke. Come on. What are we doing?
Well, that's got to be more of a big picture issue with the
Michael Cooper,
Hall of
not a Hall of
Fame.
Famer. You got a problem? You got a problem with that, huh?
I do. Not a Hall of Famer. Great defensive player. Late
And
in
he played
his,
for the Lakers.
yeah, exactly.
The defense rests.
Hall of Fame. Come on now. What are we doing?
Well, with Michael Cooper, I think it's more. He was a WNBA coach, won a couple titles.
That should have nothing to do with it.
But it's the
But it
basketball.
does because it is the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Well, then why is West in 3 times?
Well, because
Cooper's in as a player. He's not in as a coach.
That's
That's a separate category.
That's a
No.
But
Sorry,
listen,
guys.
I'm sorry. They put Ben Wallace in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I think that's
He's
a
Hall
joke.
of Famer. Ben Wallace is a Hall of Famer. He won 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards and a title. I mean, come on. What's the list for that? 3? I'm kind of with you on Chauncey. I love Chauncey, but to me, Ben Wallace makes way more because local radio in Detroit. This was a topic like 5 years ago. Was will Chauncey or Big Ben or both make the Hall of Fame? And my argument always was Ben absolutely should. Chauncey might, but might not deserve it.
Feeney, he wasn't a role player. He was a starting point guard on the team that won the title and went to back-to-back finals and 6 straight conference finals. I mean, he was the starter.
Too. Yeah.
And he was the finals MVP. But see, I'm sorry. Robert Ory's not a Hall of Famer. And fortunately, he's not in the Hall of Fame. That's where I think we're going here with a lot of guys.
Okay, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. We have guests in our 8 o'clock hour to anticipate the men's title game tonight, UConn and Purdue. We'll get to that later in the show. And we'll also look back at a historic women's Final Four, capped off by South Carolina going 38-0, beating Caitlin Clark in Iowa yesterday by 12. Where do you want to start, Mark? How far back do you want to go? Do you want to go back on, was that a foul at the end of the UConn-Iowa game? Was that a moving screen in your estimation? Do you call that with 3.9 seconds to go?
No.
It was a moving screen.
She leaned.
It's more than that. That's actually, I'm shocked that ESPN only showed 2 replays and basically from the same angle. They had a lot of cameras there. They had plenty of time because there was a timeout called right after it. All right. There were 8 different replays that they could have shown in which they would have shown that it was a far more obvious moving screen. I mean, it was a clear moving screen. The question is, does it get called? And I understand. Oh, if it's a foul 5 seconds into the game, it's a foul with 5 seconds to go.
That all the time. They very rarely call that. Moving screens are set constantly throughout a game. You could call it on every damn set.
Well, and that, to me, that was like, do you call the holding call? Because correct me if I'm wrong. Had they called the moving screen in that game? Maybe one? I mean, I'm trying to remember when they called it, and I stayed up for it. Okay, I'm like, have they called this all day? Because to me, Mark, that's your point. That's like holding penalties in football. And if you're not calling holding, like they don't call holding against the Chiefs in the playoffs. They don't. They don't. You know that going in. I mean, if you ever get a chance to see this Super Bowl against the Niners over again, just watch the 2 tackles. I mean, they mauled the defensive end of the Niners. They just did. They grabbed them. They pulled them down to the ground 20 times. It wasn't a holding call. That the officials said early on, basically, I mean, it's got to be a felony. Okay. And that, I mean, so was it a moving screen? Oh, yeah. But if we haven't called these suckers, this is a hell of a time to throw your first holding penalty.
And David, by what Gino said after the game, they called 2 or 3 on UConn in the game. They called 0 on Iowa. He was, very tongue-in-cheek, said we got to work on our screens.
Right.
And that was his post game. When asked, said they called 2 or 3 on us. They didn't call any on Iowa. I guess we got to work on our screens.
Right. Yeah, I guess so. I will say, 25 years you played UConn. All right. The whistle, if it went in a certain direction, it went UConn's way. It's the first time Gino's had the whistle go, maybe a few times going up against Pat Summitt in the 90s, but otherwise Gino hasn't had the whistle go the other way in a long time. But so that was controversial. And then we got to yesterday, the semifinal rematch. South Carolina trying to cap off perfection with 5 new starters, oh, by the way. And Iowa basically brought the same cavalry back. Let's go. Let's do it.
And this time for Iowa, it wasn't good enough.
That was a really fun first half, though.
Man, oh, man.
49-46 at the half.
That was tremendous.
That was good stuff.
If you didn't like the first half of that, then
don't watch.
Then you don't like basketball. Because that was played at such a high level.
And neither team stayed at that level, but Iowa, it certainly looked as if they hit a wall. And part of that wall was South Carolina, who just overpowered them. Their size wore them out. And it was clear by the end that Caitlin Clark had to carry them, and then she didn't have anything left in the tank. And I will say, man, did Gino Auriemma and Dawn Staley make Kim Mulkey look bad, huh? I mean, man, hey, imagine what happens when you actually try to defend her. Put maybe a bigger player on her. Maybe somebody who athletically can stay with her. It's just an idea. Make her go to her right. It's just make her go inside the arc. And she still scored 30 yesterday. But, just make it somewhat difficult on her. But my prediction is at least 18 million. Because they did 14 and a half basically for the semis, which was late on a Friday night on ESPN. This was the title game, 3-6 on a Sunday afternoon. Really 3-5. I say 18 million minimum. Could be 20.
What will tonight do?
Not as much.
And this is an exceptional matchup.
Yeah.
This is the 2 best teams all year long. 2-time player of the year, defending national champ. You can't script it any better for a large audience for the men, David.
I thought Dan Hurley was very gracious after he beat Alabama when he said, listen, this have been the 2 best teams in the country for the last 2 years. And we're finally going to play. I thought that was a very nice tip of the cap to Purdue. And now here we go. Opened at 7.5. It's now 6.5. UConn favored over Purdue. Purdue gets to play the no respect card, which they don't get to play very often.
Well, look at how tough Bama played UConn. Bama played them tough and still lost by what?
Um,
16?
13, 16, 12, something. Yeah, double digits. I know that. Here's when I knew Bama was in trouble. It was kind of like Iowa at the half yesterday. Caitlin Clark had 21, and Iowa was shooting 60% from three, and they were losing at the half. I'm like, that seems like if she's got 21 and you're shooting 60% from downtown, you should be winning by 6 to 9, maybe. That's when I'm like, I think Iowa's going to have a tough time winning this game. And it's kind of how I felt for Alabama. They were 8 of 11 shooting the three in the first half against UConn, and they were down 4 at the half. I'm like, this could be a problem.
And it was.
Yes. But hell of a run. Caitlin Clark bringing so many people to women's basketball who had never watched and or had only watched 2 or 3 times in 20 years. And for the most part, did not like the product. Remarkable. A phenomenon. Dawn Staley, very classy afterwards, by the way, crediting Caitlin for all that she did for women's basketball.
So classy. She's that way all the time. If you go back to the SEC championship, when there was a little dust up between LSU and South Carolina, Kim Mulkey acted like an ass because that's how she acts. Dawn Staley had class and said, I'm very sorry that we did this. Emotions run high. That's no excuse, but we have to do better. And then after playing Caitlin Clark, recognizing her for all she's done for women's basketball. Dawn Staley is a class act. Make no mistake.
But now the women have had their moment, or 2 or 4. And now it's the men's turn. And we have to wait till 9:20 tonight. And it's on TBS.
Very funny.
Only we're not joking. 9:20. How outdated does this seem? This is the latest championship start in all of North American sports.
It's ridiculous. And hopefully the huge number, and it's a Caitlin Clark-driven number, but they can show everybody you can put these games a little earlier, and we'll still watch. The starting 5 when we come back. Thanks so much for listening to Miller and Moulton.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready for an event like no other? Join Jason and Todd at the Diamond District this weekend for their exclusive estate buying and selling event. It's time to dust off the old jewelry and dig out those fine timepieces you no longer wear. The Diamond District will pay top dollar for your unwanted treasures. Why let your valuable pieces gather dust when they could be putting cash in your pocket? That's not all. For those looking for exquisite jewelry at unbeatable prices, the Diamond District has you covered with a stunning selection of estate jewelry, meticulously curated and priced to sell. From dazzling diamonds and exotic gemstones to timeless Rolex watches, you'll find the perfect piece to elevate your style. Join the Diamond District this weekend for their estate buying and selling event, where they pay more for your jewelry and fine timepieces and sell for less. Don't miss out. Jason and Todd are in the store nearly every day and look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ambient, I am. Yeah, absolutely. I want to see how she does. Well, did anybody see the news that Las Vegas, the two-time defending league champions, they play in a 12,000 seat arena. They don't play at T-Mobile. They play in another arena out in Vegas. The one time Indiana is going to come to Las Vegas this year, they moved the game to T-Mobile. So they can get up to 19,000, 20,000.
And they'll get it.
Yeah, I think it's going to become a litmus test for your franchise. If you don't have a sellout crowd or a really strong crowd when Caitlin Clark in Indiana come to town, I think the league is going to go, Jerry Grody was my first baseball guy. I was a catcher and a Mets fan, and he was the catcher when I first became a fan. He was my guy.
We don't even get to see this damn eclipse in Florida.
Well, apparently on the West Coast, we're going to see it in Jacksonville. Peaks around 3:00.
Whatever.
It's like a 2 to 4 thing. They're saying we're going to get 64% of it in Jacksonville. My granddaughter's daycare, they're having an eclipse party.
That's wonderful. I remember like in second grade, there was an eclipse and we all walked out and had to look at like a shadow.
Is it like Phil?
Huh?
Was it like Phil?
Yeah, it's exactly like Phil.
Gotcha.
But you couldn't look at it, so you had to look at like they had this whole thing set up, so you saw the dumbest. I still remember that was a waste of my damn time.
Now they got lemonade and glasses, Mark. Now you can look at it because apparently we got these special glasses.
I got there. My wife left me a pair. I'm very excited. I had to pay. We can do this later. I had to pay to see my daughter play softball this weekend.
Well, no kidding. Really?
No. I had to pay
Admission.
Yeah.
To see.
Yeah. Really? That's the first time you've been charged admission? Seriously?
To see my kid play? Yeah.
Oh.
When did this start?
I don't know what to tell you. We never got in for free anywhere. Everything. I mean, it's how they paid their bills. So they said.
Both days.
Well, yes, it's how it works. I mean, if it's a 3-game series and you have ticket for game 1, that doesn't get you into game 2.
No, it got me into game 2. It didn't get me into game 3.
Huh.
It was a day pass.
Gotcha.
Although I got to tell you, there are some big 10-year-olds in Fort Myers compared to the 10-year-olds in San Carlos Park. Holy crap.
Is that the difference between meat and beans right there?
I don't know. Man, there were some these like the step up in class to go to the Fort Myers softball. Holy blank.
Got to put the rice and beans to the side, man. Let's go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Josh Pastner coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern as we look ahead to UConn and Purdue, who along with Houston, they were the best teams in the country this year throughout, and they're going to meet. As Dan Hurley said, these have been the best two programs in the country for the last 2 years. Let's do this. All right. By the way, if you're Dan Hurley, do you take the Kentucky job? That's a serious question. All right.
I hope not. I'm not being a jerk here.
No, you're Dan Hurley. Do you? Because they're going to call you.
No, I know. I hope he doesn't.
Once again, I'm asking you, if you're Dan Hurley, do you?
I wouldn't.
Okay. There you go.
I wouldn't.
Gotcha.
I don't think that they would love him anywhere but I like him at UConn. I like what he's doing. I like what he's building. I like how he does it. And I don't know if Kentucky would let him be him.
Gotcha. More on Dan Hurley. He had a hell of a soundbite Friday, at the table answering questions. We'll play it for you coming up next hour. Right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Caitlin Clark in Iowa got all the attention. Dawn Staley's South Carolina team was the best team in the country all year. 38-0. They wore down Iowa. Led by 3 at the half, by 9 after 3. And heck, if they had hit free throws, they would have won by 20. 87-75. The Gamecocks win their 3rd national title. They're the first unbeaten champ mark since UConn in 2016. Caitlin Clark finished with 30. She had 18 of them in the first quarter. Gamecocks out-rebounded the Hawkeyes by 22. Oh, by the way, some other women's basketball news. Tennessee with a fascinating hire. They hired Kim Caldwell from Marshall. She's been a Division I head coach for a year. Now, she won the conference, took them to the tournament, and she apparently did gangbusters at the D2 level. But she's been a Division I head coach for a year. She got the Lady Vols job. That's a bold hire. Or foolish. One or the other. John Calipari just left Kentucky for Arkansas. No, this is not a joke. It's not April Fool's Day. That was last week. John Cal, a 5-year deal with Arkansas. And the word is the Arkansas boosters have told him you have $5 million for NIL every year. Go. Here's my question. Those 6 top 50 recruits who committed to Kentucky, do they follow him to Arkansas?
Probably.
Okay.
Don't you think? What would you over under 4.5?
I'll go under. All right. But I do think Arkansas is going to pay more than Kentucky was. So, in theory, the kids could make more.
We'll find out. Was this the Alabama discount with Saban, if you know what I mean?
Right. UConn's a 6.5-point favorite to repeat as national champs tonight against Purdue. The Boilermakers have never won the Natty, and they've won a lot in the last 50 years, but they have not won a Natty. They lost the title game to Alcindor and UCLA in 1969. It's the only other time they've played in this game. 9:20 tonight, TBS. TBS. Baseball. Marlins won a game. After an 0-9 start, they routed the Cardinals yesterday 10-3. Rays have won 2 in a row. They beat Colorado 3-2. Ryan Pepiot, through 6 shutout innings, struck out 11. Rays are 5-5. Stanton, a grand slam. It's like one of the first times he's made contact this year. Yankees are 8-2. They beat Toronto 8-3. Chris Sale gets his first win as a Brave, pitched into the 6th. Braves over the D-backs 5-2. They swept that series. The Pirates are 8-2, ladies and gentlemen. They beat the Orioles 3-2. They scored 2 in the 9th to win it. Boston started the season with a 10-game road trip, and they went 7-3. Good for the Red Sox, whose home openers tomorrow at Fenway against the Orioles. 12-2 Boston over the Angels. Cubs 8-1 over the Dodgers. Bellinger homered. Brewers 12-4 over Seattle. The White Sox are 1-8. They just got swept in Kansas City by the Royals 5-3. Oakland beat Detroit 7-1. Steven Strasburg officially retired. He signed that huge contract after winning the World Series 5 years ago. He threw about 500 pitches in the major leagues after that because of injuries. Washington beat the Phillies 3-2. Mets took 2-3 from the Reds. They beat them 3-1. Giants 3-2 over the Padres. And remember the Astro pitcher who threw a no-hitter last week? Did you see what he did last night?
Threw a one-hitter. Through what?
Threw 6 one-hit innings. Guy's pitched 15 innings this year. He's given up a hit. Ronel Blanco. He's your Cy Young favorite, ladies and gentlemen. 3-1 Astros over the Rangers. NBA, Heat were down 17 at the half. They fought back. They lost late in Indiana, 117-115. And because of it, Miami's the 8th seed right now. And the Pacers are the 6. Miami a game and a half out of the 6th spot. So right now with 4 to play, Miami looks like they're going to be in the play-in, and it looks as if they're going to play the Sixers, who have moved ahead of them in the standings. They've won 4 in a row. No Embiid last night, and Maxey scored 52 in a double overtime win in San Antonio. By the way, right now the Orlando Magic are the 3 seed in the East. They're tied with the Knicks, but they own the tiebreaker. Orlando beat the Bulls by 15. Knicks in Milwaukee beat the Bucks by 13. Milwaukee only has a 1-game lead up for the 2 seed against both the Magic and the Knicks. The Cavs had a 12-point lead going to the 4th and lost to the Clippers by 2. OKC with a win. They remain a game back of the T-Wolves, who beat the Lakers last night by 10. Minnesota and Denver tied for the 1 seed, with the T-Wolves owning the tiebreak with 4 to play. NHL. Rangers 5-2 over Montreal. They're 3 points up on the Bruins for the 1 seed, and they have a 5-point lead in the division with 4 to play. Biggest win of the day, however, in Detroit. The Wings 3-1 over the Sabres. If the playoffs started today, the Wings would be in as the final wild card in the East. They're a point up on Pittsburgh, Washington, and Philadelphia, with 4 or 5 games left, depending on which team you are. That's right, 4 teams separated by a point for 1 playoff spot.
And the Islanders just 2 ahead of all those teams for the final spot in the Metropolitan Division.
So it's either 5 teams for 2 spots separated by 3 points, or 4 teams for 1 spot separated by a point. Washington let a point get away yesterday, losing in overtime at home to Ottawa 3-2. Carolina with a win. Nashville's a point away from clinching a playoff spot after their shootout win over the Devils. Blues stay mathematically alive out west with a shootout win over Anaheim. NASCAR, William Byron led 88 laps at Martinsville to beat Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. That's Hendrick Motorsports going 1, 2, and 3. Ross Chastain finished 14th. Akshay Bhatia. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
Is it Bhatia? Bhatia? Bhatia. Akshay Bhatia. He led wire to wire. Well, almost. Denny McCarthy caught him with a couple holes left because he birdied 7 straight holes on the back 9 while shooting a 28. In fact, Bhatia had to make a 15-footer on 18 just to force the damn playoff.
And then he separated his shoulder when he made the putt.
That's
or
not
dislocated
a joke.
it. Dislocated it.
Not a joke. He's left-handed, okay, and he put his left arm up in the air with a big fist pump, and he slightly dislocated his shoulder. So who says golfers aren't tough? He played the playoff with a slightly dislocated shoulder, no?
He had to get taped up between shots, David. It's the softest thing I've ever seen in sports.
Well, he's 130 pounds.
Then he stiffed it. The only good news is after he got his shoulder taped up, he stiffed it to about 4 feet.
The LIV Tour was in Miami at Doral. Dean Burmeister beat Sergio in a playoff. It's actually a big name leaderboard. It's Masters Week. 13 of the LIVers, including 7 former champions, are making the trip to Augusta. Dean Burmeister is not one of them, even though he's won twice on the World Tour this year, and now he's won on the LIV Tour. But that's not good enough to play in the Masters because those wins don't mean anything. All right. You have to beat a bad field at the Valero Texas Open in order to get into the Masters. LPGA match play. Nelly Corda makes it 4 in a row. First time in 16 years. Got to go back to Lorena Ochoa. Since a golfer on the LPGA Tour has won 4 tournaments in a row, she beat Ireland's Leona Maguire 4-3 in the final. And finally, Basketball Hall of Fame. The news had been leaking out, but they announced their class. Vince Carter, the headliner. Chauncey Billups, Michael Cooper, inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame.
More on this later.
Unbelievable. The late Walter Davis. Jerry West inducted for the 3rd time. He got in as a player, and he got in as part of the 1960 Olympic team, which was inducted as a team. Now he gets inducted as an executive and a contributor and what have you. Doug Collins got in as a contributor. He was a hell of a player. It's kind of like a Joe Torre getting in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Joe was a very good player, not a Hall of Fame player, but a very good player. Then you throw in his managerial exploits, and you see why he's in the Hall of Fame. Doug Collins, a good to very good player. And then bunch of wins coaching and broadcasting and the whole deal. So there you have it. 9 minutes before the hour. That was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
so Kareem, Magic, Worthy. That's not enough Hall of Famers. We have to put more. Riley coaching them. So that's not enough. Bob McAdoo, by the way, for a couple of years.
Isn't Jamal Wilson?
I was going to say, is Jamal Wilkes a Hall of Famer?
I don't believe he is.
I think he is. I think a couple years ago he got in on the legacy ballot.
Okay. But McAdoo for 2 years was, their 6th man. They went to back-to-back finals and won it once. And he's definitely a Hall of Famer. So now Michael Cooper as well. And Chauncey Billups. Seriously? Come on now.
Jamal's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, so good. So now that's good because now you got the 5 Lakers to match, overcome the 4 Celtics that are.
You almost got the whole rotation in there, David. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Byron Scott's a bum, obviously, so you can't put him in. Right.
I'm going to start a petition for Kurt Rambis to the Hall of Fame.
Mitch Kupchak. Hello. Chauncey Billups. Come on.
Mr. Big Shot.
If Robert Horry's not in the Hall of Fame, first off, nobody's allowed to have that nickname unless it's Robert Horry. Okay. In fact, Robert Horry beat Chauncey Billups' Pistons by being Mr. Big Shot in the NBA Finals. So that's enough said. There's only one Mr. Big Shot.
He's rolling, Trent.
I question every day why Sheed helped on Manu.
Yeah, you ain't
left
kidding.
Robert Horry wide open.
Kidding. Exactly. So's Larry Brown. Mm-hmm. Michael Cooper, a Hall of Famer. Come on. Very good player. Okay. And up until Steph Curry and what have you, actually had the record for most threes in an NBA Finals game because he was the first one to just sit in the short corner and he kind of put it up those threes from the hip. Okay. But come on. You guys are Pistons fans. Chauncey Billups, a Hall of Famer, yes or no?
I'm stunned that usually you're in by now, like particularly Cooper, that We're
Right.
waiting.
It hasn't played in 35 years.
Right. It doesn't make much sense to me.
David, based on who they put in the Hall of Fame, yes, Chauncey's a Hall of Famer.
But see, don't get me started. I'm just saying, is he a Hall of Famer? Chauncey Billups, Hall of Famer, yes or no?
No.
I didn't think so.
Okay, thanks. That's all. I just wanted a gut reaction. The NFL Hall of Fame. That's all. That's all. The other Hall of Fame should do it the way the NFL does it. Okay, here we go. Raise your hand. Hall of Famer, yes or no?
The NFL has the best system, and it's not close. They get in a room, they discuss it, and you've got to be accountable for your vote. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready for an event like no other? Join Jason and Todd at the Diamond District this weekend for their exclusive estate buying and selling event. It's time to dust off the old jewelry and dig out those fine timepieces you no longer wear. The Diamond District will pay top dollar for your unwanted treasures. Why let your valuable pieces gather dust when they could be putting cash in your pocket? That's not all. For those looking for exquisite jewelry at unbeatable prices, the Diamond District has you covered with a stunning selection of estate jewelry, meticulously curated and priced to sell. From dazzling diamonds and exotic gemstones to timeless Rolex watches, you'll find the perfect piece to elevate your style. Join the Diamond District this weekend for their estate buying and selling event, where they pay more for your jewelry and fine timepieces and sell for less. Don't miss out. Jason and Todd are in the store nearly every day and look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
There is nothing that gets me going like a bad Hall of Fame vote. Man, that fires me up. Plus, I got a good night's sleep last night. We're going to be buying new beds, bought new pillows. Very exciting. Got a lot going on here in Northeast Florida. And by lot, I mean nothing. Oh, EB Hill. It's unbelievable how apparently you have to clean to get ready for the cleaners. If I was a cleaner, I that would bother me. It's kind of like, well, what do I do? Well, EB, I'm glad you told them that you gave them their business because of Miller and Moulton, though. That'll be good. When Mark calls them looking for a renewal, that'll help. Paul, if I was doing the Tai Chi, maybe I'd be relaxed. But I've yet to start doing it. My pillow. That's funny. No, I think we're going
that would be something.
That would be funny.
In that house?
Yeah. Imagine getting on my pillow in this house with my wife. That would be.
I might send you.
That may be a Christmas gift. You guys just gave me an idea for a hysterical Christmas gift.
Oh my God.
She may suffocate me with it.
You're damn right.
Morale will have to be pretty high, but if things change in the next 7 months, that goes on the Christmas list. Yeah, Ambien, I agree with you. Iowa should retire her jersey. Absolutely. Weasel, it wouldn't seem as fun, would it? Me having a moment of zen. Well, Paul, you got to remember, my wife's very liberal. That's where we're coming from there. So yes, she's, and my wife does boycott products based on politics. So. Well, thank you.
Okay, here we go. Hour 2.
In 3, 2, 1.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. It's National Championship Monday. The game starts in about 22 hours. No, it just seems that way if you're living. I mean, what a full day we have, Mark. We got an eclipse, and then we have to stay up till midnight to watch the end of the national title game.
Is it bad that I'm for sure taking a nap today, and I probably will do it while the eclipse is going on? Am I a bad human for not wanting to see the eclipse?
No. First off, supposedly you're not supposed to look at it anyway. It's bad for your eyes.
I've got the glasses for it. I remember, I want to say I was in the 2nd grade, and there was an eclipse. 2nd or 3rd grade, and they had this setup where you walked, and on a piece of poster board, they had the shadow of it because you couldn't look at it. And you're in line watching, however they had this telescope set up to see the shadow of the eclipse. And I remember all of us staring directly at the sun the whole time, waiting to, because what they told a bunch of 2nd graders, don't look into the sun.
Right. So
you know what all the 2nd graders did? Look directly at the sun.
Right. So let me get this straight. So you emerged from the classroom looking for your shadow. What were you, Punxsutawney Phil?
Exactly.
So anyway, I'm headed to, they're having an eclipse party over at my granddaughter's daycare.
Serving drinks?
Yeah, lemonade and everything, and the glasses.
Like, I don't even think we're going to be able to see it here. Why is this a big, like, this
Well-
is like the middle of it goes through the middle of the country, New York.
Well, yeah, depending
the
on where you
Kentuckys.
are, you have a better view of it. Right. Florida's basically 2 to 4 is go time in Florida. And peak is right around 3 o'clock. Give or take 2, 3, 4 minutes either direction.
And apparently, in the Twitch chat room, we have an unbelievable amount of eclipse experts
Well,
who all know how to look at this thing, but do this, do that. Are you kidding me?
Listen, Mark, the two biggest stories last week in our country were Caitlin Clark in Iowa and the upcoming eclipse. So they feel, I mean, there are a lot of people now that are experts on women's college basketball also, after having not followed it for 40, 50 years. So, it's the same deal. Of course, this is where I'm coming from. Nap time at the preschool is noon to 2, and they're waking them up early from their naps for this. Why would you ever wake a sleeping child up? Ever. Anybody wake a sleeping child? No, they're quiet. They're in one spot. You don't move them. You don't disturb them. Well, we got to go. I don't know what to tell you. All right. Maury's asleep. We're not leaving. I'm not waking up the kid. Not doing it. We're going to be late. Everybody will understand we have a child. Of course we're late. We haven't been on time since when? Since we got pregnant. Okay? And everybody knows that. We'll get there when we get there. Besides, they don't want to see us anymore. They only want to see the kid. So the kid's the star. The kid needs his sleep. So that's the first thing. They sent out an email last week. Hey, we're having this party. And I'm like, what are you doing waking them up? Don't wake my granddaughter up. Trust me. She does not like to be disturbed.
Who does, David?
Exactly. Thank you.
I mean, I think this can apply to anybody. You really don't wake anyone up from a nap.
Not really. I mean, adults have things to do. What do kids have to do? Eat and poop. They can keep sleeping. There's nothing to do on the agenda. Anyway. So, yeah, we got the eclipse today. Then we got a title game tonight, 9:20 Eastern. It's the latest start to a championship game in our country. World Series, Super Bowl, NBA, Stanley Cup, World Cup, nothing. Nothing starts this late. Remember, when did they kick off the college football title game this year, Mark, on a Monday night?
It was before 8.
Right. It was like 7:40.
Right. I mean, it stunned the two of us.
Yeah. Well, I tuned in. It was mid first quarter. Went, oh man, it's 7-0 already. What the heck? You mean you guys actually started this game when you said you were going to? I just thought you were lying. Thought you were just trying to get us to watch the terrible pregame. Golly. So,
speaking of which, does Kenny Smith have any idea about college basketball? And I'm not joking. I mean, it's to the point now where I'm receiving texts from others going, why is he even on the set?
do you remember the first year they did it and it was obvious that Barkley hadn't watched any college basketball?
Not a game.
And now you can tell Barkley watches college basketball because of this assignment. And he likes it and he wants to be somewhat knowledgeable.
Kenny Smith doesn't care.
He did not watch college basketball this year. No.
I'm so glad you guys brought this up because I brought this up over the weekend and I was challenged by certain members of my family. Why are you getting so fired up? Why do you not like? I'm like, Kenny Smith doesn't know what he's talking about right now. And I like him.
I mean, they're making fun of him on the set because all he does is speak in analogies. He has no idea who anybody is. He doesn't care. It's terrible. That's all.
I understand. Listen, I got my Hall of Fame rant out. late last hour about who got in the Basketball Hall of Fame over the weekend. You're allowed to get your Kenny. Trent, you got anything you want to get off your chest?
No, but
No,
just
and nothing at all. Nothing at all.
They got too many guys on that set. How about that? There's too many. You don't need 6 guys. That's case in point. Kenny's bringing nothing. You got Jay Wright, who's smart as a whip. I think Clark Kellogg's great with college. Barkley's entertaining.
Clark Kellogg's terrific with college. I mean,
Yes.
he loves the game. He is passionate about it. He knows the game. He has things to say.
We don't need Kenny just to tie in the whole NBA on TNT draw. It's okay. You have Chuck and EJ, who's awesome.
Trent, are you sure you don't have anything you want to get off your chest? Purdue is playing for the national title tonight, and you're okay?
We'll get to it. But I think I've accepted they're going to win the national. They're going to win.
You think Purdue's winning tonight?
I think they're winning. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Begun to accept it, David. I've started that process.
Are you betting it?
Heck no, I'm not going to bet it.
What do you want to hold on to? They're getting 6.5. You think they're going to win?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
That was a very impressive win over NC State. I will give the credit where credit's due.
Now, hold on a second. We did say, in what little knowledge we have of basketball, as evidenced by our brackets this year, we thought that was a horrible matchup for NC State. We're like, we did not see how that was happening at all.
Right.
When NC State's strength is negated because Purdue's strength is better, we just didn't see how they were going to win.
No, I mean, the beauty of what DJ Burns has been is getting double teamed in the post and being able to kick it out and pass. And, well, when you have Zach Edey, you don't need to double team DJ Burns.
And NC State had their chance. They had their window there in the second half where I think they held Purdue scoreless for 3 minutes. They just couldn't score themselves. And they couldn't ever cut into and make it closer than, 7-10 for much of the game.
I'll tell you what, Purdue needs to play better offensively tonight. I mean, 63 against NC State. And I know tempo plays into it and what have you, but Purdue needs to play better offensively tonight. Need to shoot it better tonight.
They have to, I thought Barkley before the game drew up the recipe for Bama. They've got to make 15 3-pointers. I think Purdue's got to be in the 10 to 12 3-point range made to have a shot in this game tonight, David.
Aren't we begging for the refs to let the big fellas play? I mean, they got 10 fouls between the two of them. Don't you want this to be like old-fashioned NBA, okay, where every one of those fouls is earned? Not a single – don't give me one arm bar foul tonight. I don't want to hear it. Don't want to see it. You got to be kidding me. Let them play.
I think we're all with you. And for the most part, I believe they let them play NC State, Purdue.
They've let them play in this tournament by and large.
More than they usually do.
Yeah, it has been officiated more on the likes of a Big Ten style of game than a typical tournament, if I were to make a generalization about the tourney.
Which we think has helped Purdue and others. Illinois made it to a region final, the whole deal. It just, one of the reasons that the Big Ten has historically, outside of Michigan State, underperformed in the tournament. They can't adjust to the fact that the tournament's not as physical as their conference. The Big East at times has had problems with that. And Dan Hurley coaching his final game at UConn because he's going to Kentucky.
You believe that he is?
No. Come on. I just
Okay,
got to start the narrative. Let's go. Because once he goes back-to-back at UConn, what else does he have to prove? I mean, remember, it was an hour and a half after Billy Donovan went back-to-back. He took the Orlando Magic job, only to 2 days later turn around and go back to Gainesville. At which point Stan Van Gundy said, "Oh, I can do this." And 2 years later took the Magic to the finals. So, that's – I mean, Dan Hurley, once you go back-to-back at UConn, I mean, what are you saying for? Big Blue Nation on line one, Dan. Money's not a problem.
Boy, it would be an interesting mix because Hurley does this crazy thing. When you ask him a question, he answers it every damn time. Could you imagine the coaches' shows?
How about just Dan yelling back at the fans? I mean, you yell at Dan from the stands, there's a chance Dan will yell back at you. And he doesn't care if it's his fans or the opposing fans. 6 for 50. That's the offer. 8 1/3 a year, 6 for 50. Dan Hurley to Kentucky. Line 1, Dan, Big Blue Nation. The Kentucky job's open because John Calipari left in the middle of the night for Arkansas. We're not making this up. It's not April Fool's.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Florida.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready for an event like no other? Join Jason and Todd at the Diamond District this weekend for their exclusive estate buying and selling event. It's time to dust off the old jewelry and dig out those fine timepieces you no longer wear. The Diamond District will pay top dollar for your unwanted treasures. Why let your valuable pieces gather dust when they could be putting cash in your pocket? That's not all. For those looking for exquisite jewelry at unbeatable prices, the Diamond District has you covered with a stunning selection of estate jewelry, meticulously curated and priced to sell. From dazzling diamonds and exotic gemstones to timeless Rolex watches, you'll find the perfect piece to elevate your style. Join the Diamond District this weekend for their estate buying and selling event, where they pay more for your jewelry and fine timepieces and sell for less. Don't miss out. Jason and Todd are in the store nearly every day and look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Oh.
I'm there for you. I'm your cop show rerun guy. Yes, a little bit, I think, kilos, but he was a day 2 guy anyway. So he'll probably just go later in day 2. Did a bunch of draft homework.
Did sub.
Got 3 pages of notes.
Oh, God.
Teams, picks that they have, don't have. Salary cap room.
I got a page for each team, who their picks are. Now I got to go through free. I'll go through free agency this week.
I got top at least 6, if not 10, at receiver, offensive tackle, defensive end, defensive tackle, cornerback, interior offensive lineman. Got my lists. Got my homework.
So you guys do all this homework for this, but I'm crazy for doing all the homework for March Madness.
Not at all.
Okay.
When did anybody ever say you were crazy?
No,
for it?
I just no.
No, doing the homework, you're not crazy. Picking Auburn to win the title, because Mark did very little research. Mark, what's your title game again?
UConn playing. Wait for it. Purdue.
What's the fun in that?
Being right.
So the equivalent of me picking Auburn would be like if you guys did all this draft homework and then you're like, you know what? The Bears are going to pick Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yes.
first overall.
Adam, you're a diehard Jags fan. What do you think they should do? What do you want them to do with their draft? What position do you want them to take?
Receiver.
Yeah. That's where I am.
Okay, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour. Thanks for waking up with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. National title game tonight, men's side, 9:20 TBS. Feel it's important to point both out, the time and the network. 9:20 TBS.
Who okays these things? I mean,
Well,
who signs
Turner-
off on this?
Well, Turner gets, I think, every third or fourth Final Four because of the money that they chimed in with CBS to keep the tournament away from ESPN. And this has been going on for about 10 years, and they've got about 12 more left in their contract. So,
But you mean the time of the game?
I mean, all of it. The fact that it's on TV. I'm not talking about
it's-
Turner. I'm saying TBS. Why not? Why can't you at least put it on TNT? Right?
Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know why they feel that their sports then goes on TBS when obviously their NBA is on Turner, so why not the national title game? I'm with you. And as for 9:20, this is the old school way of thinking. You can't start it at 8:20 because for the longest time, Trent, Monday Night Football started at 9:00. And if you go back, the ratings started to dip late 90s into the early 2000s. And Monday Night Football, for what was it, a couple years, Mark, experimented. They went back an hour. Let's kick off earlier. It's too late. Maybe that's hurting our ratings. Yeah, ratings continued to go down. So then they went back to 9:00. And now, obviously, we've evolved and, they kick off at 8:20 every week. Well, the NCAA tournament is yet to, go with that thinking. Their thought is we need to start after 9:00 Eastern so that our West Coast audience at 6:00.
That they're home from work, essentially.
Right. And so that's why it's done. Now, I will say traffic, like the Final Four this year is in Phoenix, and traffic in Phoenix is horrible. I mean, it's Barkley horrible. It's bad.
Terrible.
It's terrible. So I'm sure they're grateful out there because let me tell you, they need it. It's terrible. But 9:20 for those of us on the East Coast. And never mind, for some people, they're still into that whole one shining moment thing.
Right.
Right. It's a thing.
It
Still a
is
thing.
for a lot of people.
Right.
And I see the smile on Trent's face. He loves one shining moment, don't you?
Love it. I absolutely love it. And we know it's because when you're watching the games, there are snapshots, things that happen that you know are going to be in there. Like Jack Golke hitting a couple threes. You're damn right that's going to be in one shining moment.
Absolutely. You're right. 100%. It's a terrible song.
It's not a good song. I'm with you. But I like what it represents.
Well, also, they got rid of the Luther Vandross version, right?
I didn't know that.
David, I don't know.
I don't know because I think they're on like the third version of it.
Has there been a good version?
Well, it's not the last one. I can tell you that. So.
But yes, one shining moment happens in between.
And it's true when your team goes on a little run, they don't go to the Final Four or anything crazy, but they have their moment, maybe a first round upset like Oakland, in Southwest Florida with FGCU, Dunk City, the Sweet 16, the whole deal. People were like, I'm going to watch one shining moment and see how much love do we get? How many shots are we going to get in one shining moment? That legitimizes our tournament run.
And they got a lot, by the way.
They did.
Also, how about this? Given the events of the overnight thing with Calipari, there's going to be at least one shot of Cal just standing there with his suit and just shaking his head or whatever. There's going to be something like that in there because
either that or even though they didn't make the tournament, there's going to be a shot of an Arkansas flag. Okay, do you just throw that in?
John Cal's going to Arkansas.
Arkansas. Hey, man, the guy who runs Tyson Foods is a buddy of his. But we're not even talking Walmart here. We're talking just the Tyson Foods guy alone. Do you need more than that? Honestly, the guy who runs Tyson Foods says, John, you're miserable. We need a coach. What do you say? And he's like, well, and we're like, come on, John, money's not an object. I'll raise the price of the frozen foods by 19 cents. Honestly, done.
I have so much frozen Tyson food in my freezer right now.
Well, you better stock up because it's going to go up.
It's going up.
And it has nothing to do with the economy or inflation. It has to do with John Cal and NIL.
$5 million.
$5 million a year on NIL. So the Arkansas men's basketball team's salary cap is $5 million. That's what we just found out.
Is that enough?
Well, John's going to have to make some tough decisions. He's going to have to skimp by.
Can you get 7 McDonald All-Americans for $5 million?
Well, I don't think you can.
Think about this, though. So Arkansas had 7 transfers last season with Eric Musselman. Preseason top 10, didn't make the tournament, right? They're going to have a whole different roster this season.
100%.
If this doesn't speak to the world of college sports, specifically college basketball and football, I don't know what does. This is insane.
These two Final Fours actually are college basketball in a nutshell. The Iowa women and the Purdue men basically brought the majority of the team from last year back and said, let's go. Purdue added one key transfer.
Yes, they did. And it was key.
And it was. There's no doubt. Brought them a dimension they didn't have. Meanwhile, the South Carolina women, 5 new starters. They just went unbeaten.
After nearly doing it the year before.
Exactly. And the UConn men lost 3 starters to the NBA. And here they are. And a lot of people think they're better than last year's team. This is college basketball in a nutshell. We've seen the veteran group that comes back trying to win the title, both men and women. And we've seen I need new players. Oh, we can get them. You sure? Oh, yeah.
And that's why I think, for as much grief as I give Purdue, I think them being good with this homegrown squad is really good for the sport, because it shows that you can do it. You don't have to do the shiny new toy thing.
Is
You
this
can.
is this like Rebecca Lobo trying to kiss up to Albany after the fact? I mean, it honestly, Trent trying to say nice things about Purdue right now. How shameless does it sound?
I have to be really honest. It was like the starting five for me. I just tuned him out.
7:29, the a-hole moment of the show.
And that leads us directly to our Molly Maid play of the day, where I have to listen to Trent because I've got to plug a sponsor at the end of this segment. Go ahead, Trent.
We're going to keep it simple today because the Marlins won a game, baby. A Sunday clash with the St. Louis Cardinals. Top of the first, runners on first and second. Jazz Chisholm got it going right away.
He's 3 for 8 in this series. Marlins threatening in the first. Here's a swing and a fly ball hit in the air, fairly deep right field. Walker's back, warning track at the wall. Come on, goodbye. Chisholm, a bomb.
3-run shot to kickstart a 10-3 win for the Miami Marlins. Their first of the year. Gonna get on a heater here, David? What do you think?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Well, there's your play of the day presented by Molly Maid.
One a-hole moment topped by another. Call Molly Maid today like Ed in our Twitch chat room did and get your house cleaned by the good folks at Molly Maid. 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 for Molly Maid, and give your spouse the gift of a clean house.
Josh Pastner at the top of the hour. First off, he worked for John Cal and then replaced him in Memphis. So we'll get his thoughts about the big move, but also he'll break down UConn and Purdue for us coming up in a bit. And an hour from now, Gigi Speer, who covers women's college hoop, will look back and try to look forward as to the future of the sport without Caitlin Clark. Was this just a moment in time and it's gone? Or is this going to have legs? Miller and Moulton. Hope you're paying more attention than we are. Thanks for listening.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Actually, Mello, we got lucky. We booked Pastner to preview Purdue and UConn, and then John Cal left. And it's like, oh, well, snap. This really works out well.
So I'm curious if you guys have any thoughts on Rod Allen as a broadcaster. Do you like him? Do you not?
I don't listen enough to have an opinion one way or another.
What he said.
Okay. Because longtime Tigers guy, I thought he was great with the Tigers. And then that blew up because they got in a fight. so ridiculous. But
so
where's he now?
He's the Marlins. He's part of the Marlins TV crew.
Okay.
He doesn't do every game, but he's in the rotation.
They should just bring back Rich Waltz.
Who are the two that you guys have your joke about? They were in the separate rooms.
Dave Van Horn and Roxy Bernstein.
Okay.
Do radio for the Marlins. First off, there's like a 40-year age difference between the two. Seriously. And
that's a lot.
Yeah, but that's not. I mean, when I worked with Schenk, we were that.
No, I know.
I mean, I was a young kid working with Schenk, and it was great.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
What Ian Eagle had a line about Raft going out during the thing that was spectacular. Wasn't when the guy fell and Raft made the comment that looks like me late night?
Right.
And Ian Eagle came back and went, late night? That was...
He's had some lines. The wedgie. We've got a wedgie. We've got a wedgie in Arizona. And Raph goes, is that different than a wedgie in New York? And Ian goes, yeah, it's drier. Raph goes, you've waited for this the whole tournament. He goes, I've waited for this my whole life. We have a wedgie at the Final Four. I ain't even throw in a little thing about something about Raft and partying, and people think he's Vern. Okay, that he's still doing the games with Vern.
Purdue wins the tip tonight.
Can you bet on that?
UConn gets on their set, and he goes, the Huskies with a little man-to-man.
Man-to-man.
Yeah. I love that. It'll be Cuse with the zone, and he'll be like, Syracuse with a zone defense with man-to-man tendencies. What does that even mean? He's the best. By the way, I think you can bet on who wins the tip. I don't know. It's probably like the coin
I'm sure
toss.
you can.
And there's probably good value on the Huskies.
Boy, what's the boost tonight?
Purdue money line is plus 260. That's boosted. Marlins to have the highest scoring inning against the Yankees is plus 170. We might sprinkle. We'll see.
Mark's thinking all of a sudden he's got newfound money. That Flyers bet has got a real shot now.
No,
they played one more game.
I did not make a bet over the weekend.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Josh Pastner to join us at the top of the hour. Two things we'll talk to Josh about. He was an assistant for John Calipari in Memphis and then took over when John left to go to Kentucky. And now John just left Kentucky in the middle of the night. to go to Arkansas. We'll get his thoughts on that, but we actually booked him to talk about UConn and Purdue. So we'll talk to him about that as well. Josh Pastner in about 20 minutes time. Gigi Speer covers women's college basketball. I don't know if you guys heard, but they had a really popular tournament. Yeah. Record ratings like every round. And ratings aren't in yet. They usually take 18 to 24 hours for ratings to come in. I would expect this afternoon we'll know what the preliminary ratings are for Iowa, South Carolina, the women's final yesterday afternoon on ABC.
And most people tuning in to watch that Caitlin Clark woman do her thing. But this just in, I mean, South Carolina's pretty good. Undefeated. Lost one game the last 3 seasons.
That's not bad. That'll work. It was to Iowa last year in the semis. Right. Won 2 of the last 3 national titles, and the one they didn't win, Caitlin Clark beat them. And she gave it her best shot. I mean, 18 in the first quarter, 21 at the half. They're down 3. They're playing really well, and they're down 3.
Yeah. They had the best quarter that they could have in the first quarter and still weren't up enough.
Right. No, I know. Plus, it was Iowa went like 6 deep, and South Carolina went 9, and South Carolina was bigger, and they're better.
To Mark's point, it did feel like they knew their only shot to win was to just go out there and chuck. And for a while, it was working. She got off to a hot start.
She and they got off to a hot start.
Well, wasn't that Alabama against UConn? I mean, 4-point game at the half. What was it? Tied at like 56 as we're approaching the midway point of the second half. And then UConn said, we got this. Little 8-0 run. And then just like that, Alabama really couldn't recover from it. That provided the separation. All of a sudden, all those threes that Alabama was hitting, they didn't hit them. Same thing happened with Caitlin in Iowa. All those threes they were hitting, all of a sudden, like mid to late third quarter, stopped hitting them.
It's difficult to keep up at a pace that both Alabama and Iowa first quarter, Bama first half. Oh, I mean, they made 7 threes. Bama, what was 7 of 10 for 3-point?
8 of 11 in the first half, and they were down 4.
Right. I mean,
right. But, they played their brand of ball, gave it their best shot. UConn was better. Tell you what, though.
UConn can do everything. I mean, they can, if you want to run, they'll run.
They'll run.
You want to grind up? They'll grind with you all night long.
They'll grind. And then let me tell you, if the officials will let them grind, they'll grind. Oh, yeah, their players are thick. Okay, they actually you're driving and we get to put a body on you. Oh, you ain't going anywhere. Yeah, we're more physical than our football team. Oh, yeah.
That's not saying a whole hell of a lot, but I understand.
But,
it's a good joke.
Hey, they may join the ACC one year. I think South Florida joins the ACC first, but you never know. But this old school tonight, for us old folk, this is, come on, we got 2 bigs. We got teams. I mean, the one team's been around for a couple years. The other team's trying to repeat. We used to have that a lot.
When's the last time, David, that we've had 2 bigs battle like we're going to have tonight? I don't recall the last time at the collegiate game, and really even at the pro game, where you've had 2 traditional bigs, if you know what I mean, that are going to go at one another. This is very old school.
Well, all right. About 10 years, was it 2015? Who was the Wisconsin big? Was it Kaminsky?
Frank
right.
Kaminsky.
And Kentucky's big, was that Towns?
Yes, and then Duke also had Jahlil Okafor in that Final Four.
So 2015, we had some bigs. I thought when Florida played Ohio State for the Natty, obviously you had Odin going up against Horford and Noah. Okay, now they weren't as big, obviously, as Odin, but at least we were like, ooh, we got some bigs here.
But this is very outside of the norm of what we've watched this century in college basketball. You gave
Correct.
2 examples in the last 20 years where we've had something like this, and certainly not to the extent of what we have a back-to-back player of the year who's 7'4".
Well, and Mark, even to your point real quick, I mean, the example David gave, even Frank Kaminsky wasn't a traditional, I mean, he could face up a little bit, but he lived on the perimeter.
Correct.
So even that was a little different.
And even Towns, I mean, they put him down on the block, but obviously, as we've seen in the NBA, he doesn't want to play there. So, but no, we got big fellas. Where are they going to be? They're going to be within 6 feet of the basket.
Right, with their back to the basket.
Right.
They're going to get the ball with their back to the basket.
Yep.
They're running sets to get the ball to the big guy.
I have a feeling. First off, I don't think there are two better teams in the half court than these two. But I don't know how. I mean, I think UConn is going to get Edey playing a lot of pick and roll tonight. And I don't know how he defends it. I think they're going to make him move on defense. And he has trouble moving. Can somebody take advantage of him on the defensive end? And if somebody can, I think it's their opponent tonight. They do run the best half court sets in the game. They do. Their motion, their offense in the half court, even when plays break down, they back it out, they call another play, and they just go right into it. They run great sets.
And defensively, they're so good. And they're, Connecticut to me is their guards are big. You got Castle who's can shut down the perimeter shooters for Purdue. That's why I just, I know earlier, Trent, you think Purdue's going to win just because I think it's a gut feel more than anything else.
Yep.
But I just look at the way that Connecticut takes away what you do best. And if someone gets hot, Connecticut's got the bodies to put on whoever the three-point shooter is that's maybe getting loose and stopping them. And you don't have to double Edey. So
Well, that to me will be the key. Okay. I mean, let's face it. Nobody's been able to play him man up. I mean, come on. Nobody has. Other teams have had, better matchups, but he still gets his. I mean, can Edey foul trouble? Can Edey somehow, some way get it where UConn's got to double him? Because don't you, if you're UConn, got to be tempted? I mean, that Middlebrooks kid from NC State came over on the double team and stole the ball from him, 6-7 times it seemed?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, if you're UConn, I don't know if you went into this game thinking you were going to double Edey, but after what NC State did, you're like, well, hell, we might as well. Apparently, it's not that hard to get the ball away from him.
Well, it is the one thing that Edey doesn't do that drives me crazy is he catches the ball and keeps it at his waist. You're 7'4".
Get it up.
Get the ball above your head, or at least at eye level.
Because no one else can touch it.
Correct.
And if they do,
and I know this is junior high basketball talk, but it drives me nuts watching him carry the ball around his waist.
So we'll get into this with Josh Pastner. Do you double team Edey? Do you play it straight? If they double team him, can Purdue take advantage from the outside? Can Purdue defend UConn? Going to put a lot of pressure, I think, on Edey with ball screens and what have you.
But knowing Dan Hurley, I think he's just we're playing our game. We're playing our game. We're not straying away from what we've done all season. We're not going to do the sexy thing that NC State did. And,
but is Purdue good enough? I mean, no one's been able to take UConn's game and shove it back at them.
Right.
I mean, remember, Tennessee was playing their game. A Tennessee good team, top 5 most of the year. They had Purdue down 11 late first half. They were taking it to Purdue. Purdue didn't flinch. And that's why I'm curious tonight. Can Purdue start taking it to UConn, and will they flinch?
And I'm hopeful that I'll get a nap in before the start of the game because it starts at 9:20 tonight.
Don't miss the eclipse, Mark.
How many people listening are going to watch the first half and tape it and go to bed and wake up in the morning and watch the end of the game? Or are you just taping one shining moment?
9:20. What are they thinking?
On TBS, very funny.
So there you have it. Miller and Moulton. John Cal leaving Kentucky for Arkansas. This is not an April Fool's joke. That was last Monday. This is real. It's legit. Apparently, he's good friends with John Tyson. I think his name's John. Anyway, he runs Tyson Foods. Call him whatever he wants. Sir, Mr. Whatever. So there you go. And Calipari is going to make around 8. 5-year deal. 5 for 40, basically. Okay. Incentive laden, though. So he can make more. It's John Tyson. By the way, he's a billionaire. It's John H. Tyson.
So we got John and John.
Yeah, but, the one guy has a middle initial. Well, because. See,
if he was really rich, he'd have 2. He'd be John H.W. Tyson.
Just like Herbert Walker Bush. Is that it?
Right.
Yeah. You listen, W. All right. You're pretty impressive and all. Own the Rangers, governor of Texas, became president, but you ain't H.W., okay?
You got that right.
All right. You're not your old man.
Don't ever forget it.
Let's get that straight right now.
It's going to be really weird seeing John Cal wearing red.
I would empty a savings account to recreate the Bobby Petrino introductory press conference for John Calipari, with the guy leading the room into chants of Woo Pig Suey and making Bobby Petrino go along with it. Honestly, there's no amount of money I wouldn't pay to have that on tape. John Calipari doing Woo Pig Suey.
I don't see that happening.
I don't either. That's why I'd empty a savings account. I really would.
That would be something.
I have to explain to my daughter, you're going to have to do college for your kid on your own. We're broke. Why? Woo Pig Suey.
Woo Pig Suey. John Cal said it.
She'll just look at me and I go, sometimes you got to pay the piper. So, John Cal leaving Kentucky for Arkansas. Man, if that doesn't say, I am so sick of you guys. I hate you so much. All of you.
I'm going to Fayetteville, Arkansas.
I saw a meme this morning. Do you remember the Jet defensive lineman who was on the sideline last year, late in the year, and they caught him pointing at fans in the stands, and he would point at him and he would go, blank you. And they'd point at another fan and go, blank you. And he did it to like 6 different fans. And they said, this is John Cal leaving for Fayetteville.
Got that right.
Who's Kentucky going to get?
I hate you guys so much.
Well, they want Hurley.
Yeah, they'll call Dan Hurley.
And they'll call Jay Wright.
And they'll call Billy Donovan. Those are the 3, that's the A list. The B list is Drew from Baylor, Bruce Pearl, Nate Oates of Alabama. Okay, that's the B list.
Over under 9.5 seconds for that Jay Wright call. He's done. There's no way, right?
No, if Jay Wright's coaching anywhere again, he would save Villanova. Villanova goes to, but no, Jay's done. And everybody who knows Jay's like, oh, he has no interest in coaching again. None. He's going to replace Raft here pretty soon on set. He's going to be in the booth doing the Final Four soon. So he's got it made.
And good for him. 62 years old, got a couple natties right off into the sunset.
Looks great doing it.
Looks great.
Awesome.
He's going to make a few million from CBS. He's got a cush job with Villanova doing some fundraising. Oh, yeah. Why do you want to coach again? The NIL world? Miller and Moulton. Josh Pastner to talk about John Cal and Purdue UConn. Next.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready for an event like no other? Join Jason and Todd at the Diamond District this weekend for their exclusive estate buying and selling event. It's time to dust off the old jewelry and dig out those fine timepieces you no longer wear. The Diamond District will pay top dollar for your unwanted treasures. Why let your valuable pieces gather dust when they could be putting cash in your pocket? That's not all. For those looking for exquisite jewelry at unbeatable prices, the Diamond District has you covered with a stunning selection of estate jewelry, meticulously curated and priced to sell. From dazzling diamonds and exotic gemstones to timeless Rolex watches, you'll find the perfect piece to elevate your style. Join the Diamond District this weekend for their estate buying and selling event, where they pay more for your jewelry and fine timepieces and sell for less. Don't miss out. Jason and Todd are in the store nearly every day and look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, that's who I think. When the rumors were that they were going to get rid of him, Michael, I was saying Scott Drew is going to be who they get.
Had a steak yesterday for the first time in months.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
So good. Shout out to Dad.
Did you just eat
Steaks.
like half the steak?
No,
or
no, I had the whole steak. I
a
almost
quarter
sent you
of
guys
it?
a picture. I almost sent proof.
How do you like your steak?
Medium rare.
Well, at least you eat it properly.
David, how do you like yours? I'm assuming Mark is the same as me.
Medium well.
Okay.
Incorrectly.
Right. I like the end cut of a prime rib. So that's how I like it done.
Gotcha.
It's not well done. It's medium-ish. My mother tells them how she wants her steak. She says, here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to take it, and I want you to do it, and I want you to go 30 seconds. And I want you to take it, flip it, and I want you to go 30 seconds. And then I'd like to eat it. They're like, man, we can't do that.
I'll tell you what, Adam, I'm sorry, but I could really use a good case of food poisoning. I'd like to drop about 20.
Yeah, Brian, I've been there when my mother has said, I would really like it to still be able to talk to me, if that's possible. So a little flu, Mark?
Josh is ready. And here we go. Sorry.
Okay.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Third and final hour of Miller Moulton along the network. The Diamond District bonus hour for our loyal 239 audience is an hour away. Gigi Speer, who covers women's college hoops, will join us in a little over a half an hour. We'll put the remarkable women's tournament to bed and then look ahead a little bit with Gigi in about 35 minutes' time. Josh Pastner is kind enough to join us once again. He broadcast college basketball this year for 3 different networks. And Josh, who led Memphis and Georgia Tech to the tourney, is kind enough to join us. Josh, it's David and Mark once again. Thanks for your time. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for having me on, and looking forward to a great Monday night of a championship game. And obviously, a little news got overshadowed late last night with my former boss, John Calipari. So we have a lot to discuss for sure.
Well, there's no doubt. How surprised were you that John Cal ends up going from Kentucky to Arkansas?
I wasn't that surprised in a sense that when I was at Memphis, he always talked about the Arkansas job, knowing that it was a great job. I mean, he knew about it. I mean, he knew that was a big time job. That being said, look, not a lot of people are going to leave Arkansas to go to Kentucky, leave Kentucky to go to Arkansas. But based on the last year or so, there's been a lot of, he's been there for almost 15 years at Kentucky. It's a long time to be there. And I think, obviously Big Blue Nation is very intense. The intensity and he hadn't gone in the last couple of years to make a deep run in the tournament. The fan bases were getting upset about that. And I think when Arkansas came available, he was well aware of the job, obviously being at Memphis, knowing that in that state, you are literally the governor of the state when you're the basketball coach in Arkansas. I mean, it is the pro team in that state. It's like Kentucky, maybe not the same nationally, but it's the same type of rabid fan base within that state lines. And they've got a lot of money. I mean, you've got a tremendous amount of billionaires that are Arkansas people that can pay him a lot of money, which they're going to do, and then have a tremendous amount of NIL. And when that place is rocking, Bud Walton Arena, it's a 20,000-seat arena that fills out. And it is one of the loudest venues in all of college basketball. And I can tell you from my time at Memphis, when you cross into Arkansas lines, like it is all about the Hogs. It is all red. There's nothing else there, but as in terms of what the passion of and unites everybody, and that's the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I think he's going to have a great career there. I think it rejuvenates him, and it creates some great dominoes on who becomes the next coach at Kentucky. Will they go after of course they're going to go after a Jay Wright, Billy Donovan, and Dan Hurley. Whether any of those three guys say yes, who knows? After those three guys, if all three turn it down, obviously it's going to be one of those three that will get the offers, or all three will get offers, depending on who says yes. Assuming all say no, then you look at like a Nate Oates, Scott Drew, T.J. Ossenberger from Iowa State, Tommy Lloyd from Arizona. Where does that go into that route if the other three say no?
If you're Kentucky, I mean, how tempted are you to call the old guy at St. John's? I mean, come on. How tempted are you?
Well, listen, I think you're very tempted, and I could see them doing that. I don't think that's far-fetched that they call Rick Pitino. It would not be far-fetched for them to do that, and I think it's a real possibility that could happen. Look, he's at St. John's. Look, he's in. I don't know his exact age. He's probably, I don't know, close to 70, or maybe he is 70.
Yeah, I think he's 71. Yeah.
Say it again.
I think he's 71.
71. So yeah. But he's got tons of energy. He's one of the very, very best, if not the best coach, in basketball history, possibly. I mean, if you look at it, if he didn't take the Boston Celtics job after 1997, he'd probably be Mike Krzyzewski and have the most wins in the history of the NCAA at that time period, if you really looked at it. So I don't think there's any surprise. It would not surprise me at all if Rick Pitino, that is not far-fetched, if Rick Pitino was the coach at Kentucky. That would not be far-fetched.
Josh Pastner, Memphis, Georgia Tech, won conference titles with both, took them both to the tournament, doing the broadcasting thing now, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. My co-host had UConn Purdue playing for the title. I feel as if I must say that. Our brackets were a mess, but he got the final right. Don't know what your bracket looked like, but your thoughts on the 2-1 seeds. And as Dan Hurley said after the game Saturday, these have probably been the two best programs in the country the last 2 years.
Well, I would throw Houston in there as well, too. I mean, I thought Houston was good enough, and I thought they were going to win the national championship. I actually had picked them to win it all. That being said, Purdue and UConn are, two of the 3 or 4 best in the country. Obviously, UConn's been probably the best all year, and Purdue's been top 2 or 3 all year long as well, too. I think that UConn, Houston, Purdue, any order how you want to look at it, is probably the 3 best teams all from start to finish in the country this year. So it's going to be a great championship game. A few things. Number one, I think this is in the last. This is UConn's obviously going to be their 12th game, NCAA tournament game in the last 2 years. This will be the first time in those 12 games they're playing a 1 or a 2 seed. So they'll have their work cut out for them. I do think Purdue can beat UConn if their guards, if Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith are playing at a high level. If Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith play like they did on Saturday against North Carolina State, UConn's winning by double digits. I've watched Purdue a bunch because I did NBC Sports Peacock for the Big Ten basketball this year, so I've seen Purdue a lot. Purdue's really good. Braden Smith's a really good guard. But the entire part for them to have a chance to beat UConn this evening's going to all come down to Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith, playing at a high level. I mean, making threes. And, UConn's guards are better than Purdue's guards. But for a one-game scenario, Purdue's guards need to be better than UConn's guards, because I think Kling and Edey will X each other out. I mean, they're just both high-level guys. I think there's a lot at stake probably from the NBA personnel watching a 7'4" guy and a 7'2" guy compete against each other, two really good 7-footers, over 7-footer players. So it's really going to come down to the guard play. The guard play was not good for Purdue on Saturday. I thought North Carolina State's pressure in the half court really bothered them. But the pressure's on UConn. Purdue did what they needed to do. They've avenged last year's first round loss. They've gotten to the championship game. The pressure is on UConn just on the fact alone that they've got a chance to do something that is in another stratosphere, not just in college basketball, but in sports in general. Danny Hurley, who's an unbelievable coach. I mean, 15 years ago, I was recruiting. I remember going to St. Benedict's High School and recruiting Danny Hurley's, Lance Thomas when I was at the University of Arizona. I mean, and spending time with Danny Hurley at his high school there. And then a couple of years later, he gets a college job. And then a couple of years later, he's literally on the brink of going in the Hall of Fame. It just shows you how fast things can move and change. And probably when I was recruiting from him at St. Benedict's in New Jersey, right outside of Newark, and this when I was at the University of Arizona as assistant, I would be there all the time. We were recruiting guys from him, and I think the natural progression was he was going to replace his dad at Jersey City, at St. Anthony's there in Jersey City, and what ended up happening is he gets a college job and he moves up the ladder. Next thing you know, it's he's on the brink of going to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Really cool story. Heck of an opportunity for UConn tonight.
Josh, when you look at Purdue, what's the pace they want to play? Because Connecticut can seemingly play whatever style you want and beat you at whatever style you want. What's the pace Purdue wants to play this game at tonight?
Well, I think Purdue needs to try to control the tempo, and to control the tempo, they need to keep it a lower possession game. If this is going to be a high-scoring affair, a high-transition game, tons of fast break points, it's all advantage UConn. Purdue wants to play a slow, or maybe I shouldn't say maybe slow, just a lower possession game. But listen, versus North Carolina State, I don't have it right in front of me, but I think they have like 16 or 17 or 18 turnovers, which is not. If they start doing that in those live ball situations, UConn will have one of those runs and just explode on you. And Purdue has to be way better than they were against NC State at taking care of the ball. They've got to keep it low possessions. They got to keep it within 1 to 2 possessions, a 1 or 2 possession game within that last 4 minute media timeout to put the pressure on UConn.
Josh, we got less than a minute. What's your thoughts about the whistle tonight? Let's just say they let them play, right? Does it favor one team over another?
I don't. If you look at Zach Edey's numbers all throughout the year and really all throughout his career, he doesn't foul. He makes free throws. He's in great cardio conditioning because he stays in the game, and he doesn't foul. So I don't think it's going to affect Zach Edey one bit because he doesn't foul out. He stays in the game. I think it's matter more on how they're going to call it on the perimeter. If UConn is pressuring the guards at Purdue, that's what we need to look for tonight is how are the calls going to be on the perimeter based on UConn's guards guarding Purdue's guards. Do they get, is it too tight of a call, or they give them some looseness to allow them to really get up underneath them and pressure them? That's going to be what to watch for.
Josh, appreciate your thoughts and your analysis. Safe travels, and hopefully we can talk again.
Thanks, guys. Looking forward to it. We'll stay in touch.
Josh Pastner, NBC, Fox, ESPN did the broadcast. Actually, it was NBC, CBS, and ESPN. They did the broadcasting for this year, 1 year removed from Georgia Tech. Joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
Great point he makes that Zach Edey does not foul out. Different pressure that he'll get tonight because he's not played against someone with this size hardly at all, if ever.
So he says Purdue can win but their two guards need to bring their A game. Anything less, they don't win. So there you have it. So instead of watching the bigs, we should watch the backcourt? Is that what he's saying? All right. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready for an event like no other? Join Jason and Todd at the Diamond District this weekend for their exclusive estate buying and selling event. It's time to dust off the old jewelry and dig out those fine timepieces you no longer wear. The Diamond District will pay top dollar for your unwanted treasures. Why let your valuable pieces gather dust when they could be putting cash in your pocket? That's not all. For those looking for exquisite jewelry at unbeatable prices, the Diamond District has you covered with a stunning selection of estate jewelry, meticulously curated and priced to sell. From dazzling diamonds and exotic gemstones to timeless Rolex watches, you'll find the perfect piece to elevate your style. Join the Diamond District this weekend for their estate buying and selling event, where they pay more for your jewelry and fine timepieces and sell for less. Don't miss out. Jason and Todd are in the store nearly every day and look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Wow, Julius Randle's wife took to X to say that 4 years ago, her grandmother was very sick in a small Eastern Kentucky hospital. And Julius picked up the phone and called Calipari and said, hey, how do we get her to Lexington or to, Louisville or something to, get her to a bigger hospital? And Calipari said, I'll call you back. And apparently, according to Randall's wife, 15 minutes later, they were whisking her out of the room onto a helicopter and flew her to Lexington.
That's great.
And she's still alive 4 years later. When Mark and I were not together yet, he was at Memphis. We actually got him on the show a couple times because John Cal before Kentucky never said no to an interview. And we got him on the way to the Final Four one year. He had just lost a region final, I think to UCLA, while at Memphis. And he was on his way to the Final Four, and we got him to break down the Final Four on the show.
I think this is going to be a really good change of scenery for him.
Big Mark. I just want to see if Mark's right. What's it, 5, 6 guys in the top 50? 5, 6 of the top 50 recruits in the country he had coming to Kentucky. And we just want to see how many of them now go to Fayetteville.
Tyson money.
It's funny what one bad year can do. Like, people don't think highly of Andy Enfield because he had a down year this year. Well, Arkansas had gone to what? 4 straight Sweet 16s, 2 Elite Eights. I mean, Musselman had it going at Arkansas. He has a really bad year this year, and apparently the folks in Arkansas soured on him. It's like, come on, man. He had one bad year.
I love Moss. I am front shotgun on the Muss bus.
I could see you driving the Muss bus. I could.
I liked him at Nevada, and then I really liked him at Arkansas. And now I'm really going to love him at USC.
You like any coach that takes his shirt off and parties with the fans, don't you?
Of course. Come on. It's not like he's the young whippersnapper either. I mean, it's not like he's, 25 years or 30-year-old coach doing that hot shot.
Going old young whippersnapper. Look at you.
He's 59. Looks great. Didn't know he was the head coach for the Kings for 2 years. It's kind of weird.
Do you know he wanted the FGCU job?
Who?
Musselman. Remember?
That's right.
Remember? He called. There was a guy who called.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. It's a basketball day. It'll turn into a golfing week with Masters Week getting underway. Did you hear the rumor? Tiger shot 31 on the front, playing a practice round yesterday at Augusta. Oh, here we go. Hype machine, baby.
Stop it.
Listen, you and I don't think he'll ever win anything again.
No.
Anything.
David, I'd like him to play 4 rounds from Thursday through Sunday at Augusta. I would be ecstatic if he's playing this weekend. That would be such a surprise to me.
But experience does mean a lot there. I mean, Phil, was it last year? Phil finished second the year before? I mean, Phil in his 50s finished second. I mean, it does. If you know how to play that course, it really is.
Longer made a lot of cuts late in age. Freddie Couples made a lot of cuts late in his age.
Exactly.
So, absolutely, David. I get it.
Just saying. I'm just starting the hype machine, Mark. Nobody wants to hear us talk about PGA Tour and LIV and, blah, is Scheffler going to repeat, blah, blah. Nobody's interested in that. Tiger Woods apparently shot 31 on a front 9 playing a practice round yesterday, Mark. That's it. Throw that out there. Okay. That's the meat on the bone. Go chew. We'll get to it beginning tomorrow. Can I read you a quote from Danny Hurley?
Is it about the eclipse?
No.
Okay, good.
No. It's nothing to do with the eclipse. Nothing at all. Certain colored goggles, nothing. All right. This is Danny Hurley, Friday, meeting with the media at the Final Four. And he was asked about how do you coach players in the NIL age? Okay. And specifically the last 2 years. How have you done it? And he goes, I I coach them harder than ever before. The resources that we at the University of Connecticut and programs now invest in these players is not for their attendance. It's not just to be on campus. It's to produce and to produce winning. The way we travel, the residence halls, the full service dining we have in our $40 million practice facility, the NIL opportunities. I coach the hell out of these guys because of everything that they get. And they have a responsibility to work harder and to represent UConn and to fight their absolute ass off to win games for our donors, our fans, and the university because of everything that they get that past players didn't. Tell me you wouldn't give him money and support him if he coached your program. Name a booster that would not support him. How do you handle it? I coach them harder.
Even though they can all leave every year.
Exactly. They're here to win. Okay. We're paying them. We're treating them red carpet, the whole deal. They have one job. And basically, I mean, come on now.
That's the other side of what he's saying, David. It's a great point. You know what he didn't mention? You know what 2 words were not in there? Student athlete.
Nope.
No, these kids are getting paid a lot of money to play basketball. We're going to coach them hard.
Mm-hmm. How do you coach them? I actually coach harder. I demand more of them.
They're getting a great idea of what life in the NBA is going to be like.
Or the real world. You got to produce. You got to get up every day. I mean, he didn't say work, employees. You know, I mean, there are other words also. But there you go. How do you handle it? Well, this is how I handle it. I guess there's another way to do it. You know, just don't want to offend them and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's not how I do it.
But, David, what's amazing is he gets them to do it. Come on. All these coaches want to coach their players hard.
How many of these coaches right now in today's game do you think could say what he just said? Because he can pull that off. How many do you think can actually pull rank like that?
Come on, tell me that doesn't sound like Tom Izzo.
Oh, it does. And I think Izzo's on that list. I think Izzo, Hurley, but how many more?
But what's interesting is Hurley's like what, 48? Is Hurley 50? I don't think he is. Izzo says it. He sounds like Clint Eastwood on the front porch with a shotgun in his hand. Hurley says it. He's the coolest guy in the world.
Just turned 51.
Okay. So he's a generation, basically, because Izzo's in his, approaching upper 60s?
69, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So he's a generation younger than Izzo. Izzo says it. It sounds like, crusty old guy. Dan Hurley says it, and Kentucky says, offer him more money.
Boy, you got someone at Big Blue Nation fired up that question about calling Pitino.
Oh,
all caps, no blanking way we call Pitino.
Okay. Yeah, I know. It was terrible. I know.
Fired up Big Blue Nation this morning, David.
Okay. Now, I don't think they call him. I don't think he's on the first list. I don't. But I'm telling you, once they get, because here's the problem with calling the B list. You know, even Josh Pastner just said, we all know who the A list is. You call Jay Wright, he chuckles, he laughs, he says no. You call Danny Hurley, you know, his whole family's in the Northeast, except for his brother who's coaching Arizona State. A lot of people don't think he would leave UConn. Okay, but you got to call him. And then you call Billy Donovan, who's been in the NBA a while now. He's had opportunities to come back to college. And between Oklahoma City and Chicago, he's been in the NBA now for a decade. Okay. The B list, though, here's the problem with calling the B list. Them and their agents use that just to get raises. Bruce Pearl, Scott Drew, Nate Oates. And it doesn't matter if they renegotiated a deal last week. Now Kentucky's calling. They can renegotiate it again.
I'd like Bruce Pearl at Kentucky. Have all the barbecues at his house that he wants now.
Well, everything's legal now.
Right.
Hell.
But I do like the idea of Bruce Pearl at Kentucky.
You thought he sweat a lot at Auburn, sweat through those suits.
Oh, yeah.
Wait till he's in Lexington.
But once you get to the B list, and once you realize that some of them are just using you to get raises. Also, Nate Oates' buyout is significant. I mean, it's not the $33 million for Cal, but it's like almost half. I think it's 18. So it's right around half. It's a big buyout.
The irony, they wanted John Cal out, but wouldn't pay the buyout. Now, will they have to pay a buyout to get someone else in?
Right. But once you start going through your B list, at what point is Pitino at the bottom of the B list?
That's if people on the B list are actually saying no to Kentucky. It's Kentucky.
I understand. Timing. Transfer portal's been open for 2 weeks. Timing. This is not an ideal time. This is not the third week of March. This is the second week of April. Just saying.
What this portal's doing being open before the tournament's over is ridiculous.
Totally with you. Portal should open tomorrow.
Yes.
Or Wednesday.
And Wednesday's the right answer. I give everybody,
And have it be open for 30 days also. 30 days is good. You want to keep it open for 45? Keep it open for 45. Listen, 3 weeks ago when they lost to Oakland, I thought they were going to get rid of him, and I said they're going to hire Scott Drew, a Baylor. We'll see if that happens. Gigi Speer covers women's college hoops. We'll wrap up the Final Four next.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready for an event like no other? Join Jason and Todd at the Diamond District this weekend for their exclusive estate buying and selling event. It's time to dust off the old jewelry and dig out those fine timepieces you no longer wear. The Diamond District will pay top dollar for your unwanted treasures. Why let your valuable pieces gather dust when they could be putting cash in your pocket? That's not all. For those looking for exquisite jewelry at unbeatable prices, the Diamond District has you covered with a stunning selection of estate jewelry, meticulously curated and priced to sell. From dazzling diamonds and exotic gemstones to timeless Rolex watches, you'll find the perfect piece to elevate your style. Join the Diamond District this weekend for their estate buying and selling event, where they pay more for your jewelry and fine timepieces and sell for less. Don't miss out. Jason and Todd are in the store nearly every day and look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Just a Carver High, Mellow. Just the nothing on the back. Thank you. Undertaker made an appearance last night, Adam? Love The Undertaker. Maybe my all-time favorite wrestler. No, it was scripted that he'd lose the belt. It didn't cost him anything. That was his script. It's a fake sport. See,
I'm kind of surprised that you are into or were into wrestling.
I loved it.
Okay. That's fine. I'm a little surprised by that, given it's all scripted. I just wouldn't peg you as that kind of.
I didn't ever like the wrestling as much as I liked the interviews.
Okay.
And the talking and the.
That's fair. The drama and
yes.
Yeah. The clips.
I used to, when I worked for the Atlanta Knights hockey team, I used to see those guys all the time because they'd come get their paychecks every other week at the Omni Hotel building, or the Omni, whatever, the CNN Center rather. And they'd all come do Chinese food. And there was a Chinese restaurant next to Jocks and Jill's, the sports bar. And every once in a while we do Chinese, and there would be all the wrestlers, all of them in there. And I remember seeing Flair one time after a game, why he was there at night. And I look, and there's Flair next to me in a suit. And I just looked at Flair. I looked straight ahead, and I went, whoo, as loud as I could. Never said a word to him. Got my beer and went on with my business. The big show, we went to the Wrestling at Hertz when it was Tico, the first big show we had there. The big show's the biggest human I'd ever seen. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, Gigi's on. She's fired up.
Yeah, she retweeted it.
She's looking forward to it, she said. So here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, our final segment along the network. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. This is the first time we've had Gigi Speer on the show. She covers women's basketball for thenexthoops.com. Thenexthoops.com. Follow Gigi on X at Gigi_Speer, Speer. Gigi, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this at this hour. How are you? Man, that was a really good intro, too. Gigi, how are you?
Hey, good morning. How are you guys? I'm great.
Well, we're fired up as well. Hey, let's go big picture before we break it down. Just obviously, you were an athlete not that long ago. You cover the sport. Just the last 72 hours in Cleveland. Was there a moment in which you even took a step back, a younger person, and took a step back and went, I'll be damned?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you guys, Mark David, this is the moment I've been waiting for as an athlete. Is I think the best thing that you can have in terms of viewership for women's sports is passionate fans. And that's the thing that I saw all weekend in Cleveland, guys. The streets were flooded, and the fans whose teams lost on Friday were still there for the championship game on Sunday because they wanted to watch women's basketball. I'm from Connecticut. I saw some Husky fans still there, and I'm like, are you guys not too heartbroken to go? And they're like, listen, we played basketball way back when. We've been waiting for this time for women's basketball, and now it's here. And you have fans going crazy in the stands over women's basketball. It was so loud throughout the entire weekend when you were actually in the arena, and then walking around the city, it was like everywhere you looked, it was women's basketball. And fans of all ages, guys, I'm telling you, there were little girls, but then also there was just older guys who were there to watch the sport. There were young people there that were there to party and watch the sport, and they saw it as a very fun thing. And then there was also women who were like, we're getting away from our husbands for the weekend. We love this sport we used to play, and now we got to come and watch. So, yeah, I think there was way too many moments that were overwhelming, but that was the biggest takeaway. There was fans that were just ready to consume the sport, and it seemed like they couldn't get enough of it, I'll be honest.
Gigi, let's go back to Friday night. Did you like the call when it happened?
I'm going to be honest. I think up top where I was, media row, you couldn't get a good angle live, and we kept waiting and waiting for the replay. Rewatching it, yes. I like the call. I like the call as a call, but do I like the call in that moment? Absolutely not. Let Paige shoot the ball. Let the players decide the way the game goes. That's the way my mind works.
It was ironic. It may be the first time since the late 90s when Gino was establishing UConn and going up and through Pat Summitt and Lady Vols. Gigi, when's the last time that UConn left the gym thinking they'd been zebraed?
I don't think they even know, to be honest. He goes, this is the cross we bear. This is the house we built. So the storyline isn't, we made it to the Final Four. The storyline is UConn loses. What a shock to the world. So I guess he's used to them having that reputation. And, me, I'm from Connecticut. I'm a Husky fan. I got to be because of my roots. But I think they're Goliaths. Like, they're just too good. And so, yeah, it was a shock, even though some people might have forgotten about them, which is crazy.
This year, people obviously driven to women's basketball because of Caitlin Clark. Do you think it was ultimately a good thing that South Carolina finished with the donut to show that a team can still beat the one player, and not taking anything away from the rest of the players in Iowa because they had some great ball players, but the fact that South Carolina was the best team all year and finished the job this time, is ultimately that a good thing?
I think it is. And 38-0, it's crazy people forgot that this team was undefeated because of the legacy of Caitlin Clark. But that only speaks to how great she is and how much she's influenced the game. And I think when Dawn Staley on the podium, she takes the mic, she goes, I want to personally thank Caitlin Clark for the growth of this game. That's when I knew it was ultimately a great thing. And I think Caitlin's legacy will live on too. And even watching Lisa Bluter's speech to the team in the locker room, she's like, no, we all take this together. We're going to lose our seniors and we're sad about this, but we can't hang our heads because they got to keep working. And Caitlin has to keep working too. So maybe it's going to be something where those fans want to see her win a championship, and everybody wants this to translate over to the WNBA. So maybe this is the way it will.
Talking women's basketball with Gigi Speer. Follow Gigi on X at Gigi, Gigi_Speer, Speer. And you can also find Gigi's work at thenexthoops.com, thenexthoops.com. Steph had his moments in college, but then he didn't become Steph again until like year 5 in the NBA. He didn't average 20 points a game in the NBA till his 4th year in the league. And most people, don't remember that and don't hold that against him. It seems as if Caitlin's going to enter the WNBA under more pressure to perform right away, correct?
You know what? Being in Cleveland, it gave me a LeBron feeling. That's what it gave me. Is he comes in as an 18-year-old rookie, and if he doesn't perform well with that crazy Cavs team that he inherited, it was like looked down upon. And I think it's the same way with Caitlin. I think there's a lot of pressure, and she's going in to play with Aaliyah Boston too. So I don't think anybody in the WNBA is expecting them to necessarily win a championship, but I think people are expecting them to find a rhythm rather quickly. But yeah, I think it's more LeBron than Steph, but I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if Caitlin adjusts quickly. I think she's small, and I know Diana Taurasi is a little against being like, this is going to be a reality check when you come in. But I think the way I've seen her play and her ability to adjust in game and then also game to game, I think she might hit the ground running and do better than we think a rookie should do. But I don't think it's going to come down to winning a championship for a couple years. And then maybe that could be the way she's like Steph is then at that point. She has that rhythm with Aaliyah, and it's back-to-back championships like Golden State did.
How much is the rest of the WNBA going to be after her, if you know what I mean? I mean, this is all the hype, and now they're going to want to shut her down and show this league off. They're going to get more eyeballs than ever before, but how hyped up is the rest of the league to make her not be Caitlin Clark, if you know what I mean, Gigi?
Oh, they're ready. They're ready. There's a lot of players who are seeing the attention that she's getting and loving it and supporting her, that's for sure. But I think they're so ready to show defensive prowess, lock her up a little bit, give her a little rookie reality check. But then I think also there's going to be some teams that want to come in, and players individually that want to come in and say, you could shoot like that, I could shoot like this. Like I'm excited to see the Sabrina matchup against Caitlin. Maybe they'll be doing that 3-point contest as teammates at the All-Star weekend next year. But I think when they play each other, that's going to be a great matchup because they're both 3-point dagger shooters. I think that's going to be so exciting.
Gigi, we've debated, and for what it's worth, the two of us are pretty pro women's basketball, certainly compared to most guys with microphones, for what that's worth. But we know that she and Indiana are going to play before large, if not sold out crowds all year. I mean, Las Vegas already moved their game against Indiana to a 20,000 seat arena because their 12,000 seat arena is not big enough. But how many people do you think will watch the league on television? This league, for a good game, they'll draw around 1 million. Well, last night's game is going to draw 18 to 22 million. How many people do you think are now going to watch the WNBA who haven't watched it?
I think, say the percentage of fans who are Iowa loyalists throughout the year, I would say around 50% of them would translate. I talked to this little girl and I'm like, you think you're going to keep on watching Caitlin? The girl must have been 8 years old. She says, Caitlin's her favorite player. I go, do you think you'll keep watching her when she's in WNBA? And she gave me the best kid response. She goes, maybe. And I think that's the way a lot of people are thinking is maybe I'll watch, maybe I will. And I think the beauty of March Madness and college basketball is it's the rhythm. Everybody knows the rhythm of it. They know when championship games are. They're well thought out college game days around it, and ESPN does a great job. So I think also there's going to be some legwork that production media is going to have to do to elevate the current output of the WNBA product in order for people who are coming in to feel like, okay, I can keep watching. This is exciting. Great people commentate on the game. There's great atmospherics. Like there's a great feeling of this game. Maybe they do want to go in person to watch, it seems like, but I'm excited to see what the viewership was about yesterday. And then I think from there we could get a better read on how many people are going to translate. But that little girl telling me maybe, I'm like, all right, we got a 50-50 shot of conversion here. That's what that told me.
What does the women's college basketball game do? I mean, there's no encore for Caitlin Clark, but how do they try to keep the momentum going forward, Gigi? Because obviously, not only did we watch, but we started watching South Carolina. We started watching other games actually drew ratings. So where do you take the momentum and how do you build upon this?
I think it's continuing to use Caitlin's story and to honor her. And who knows, too, I got to talk to the people at Team USA, but if they integrate her into the Olympics and then that's mid-season for the WNBA, that could translate well for it as well. So that could be the way to do it, is to capitalize on the Olympic crowd that might be coming in and keeping on telling her story, but then also the South Carolina team has a lot of freshmen on it, so I think that those freshmen continuing to grind, and maybe they'll have a sophomore slump. Hopefully not. I think a lot of freshmen captivated some eyes on Sunday, so that might be a difference in itself. There's a lot of rookies coming up that are fun to watch.
Don't they have to put her on the Olympic team? I mean, come on, she can be a backup point guard, right? I mean, her shooting dimension alone. I mean, even if she is one of the last people on the team, that dimension in international competition, I mean, that's a legitimate placement on the team, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and they've had their training camp. They're narrowing down their roster too as we speak after this past weekend. But I think that a lot of people are smart in the sports business. A lot of people are capitalizing off Clarkonomics, whatever that phrase is, Caitlin Clark's legacy. And I would be surprised if the Olympic Committee doesn't choose to pair her up with Diana Taurasi and Breanna Stewart, both people who kind of came out in a way against her in the past couple weeks, more of a reality check to her. So I would be surprised if they don't. They do have a good roster right now. I'll give them that. But also, I guess it's up to Caitlin to say yes to that or not. And it seems like she would. She'd want to represent the country. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I think they want her.
Gigi, thanks for doing this for us. We really appreciate it. Safe travels back from Cleveland, and hopefully we can do this again.
Hope so. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Gigi Speer covers women's college hoops, thenexthoops.com, thenexthoops.com. Follow Gigi, GIGI_Speer, SPEER on X.
I think the answer of the 8-year-old is the biggest question asked.
Maybe.
It's the most important question that you ask. Are they going to watch the WNBA? I said it on the show on Friday. I played golf with a guy Wednesday who's from Indianapolis, who's nearly 70 years old. And we started talking about this, and he very proudly said, and you know where she's going to play next year? And he's from Indianapolis. He was fired up that she was coming to their team. I think there'll be a buzz in Indianapolis. As you mentioned, Vegas is already playing at the bigger arena when they scheduled to play Indiana. So it will be an interesting year. And it's good to hear that Gigi believes she'll be an Olympian, because that will help keep the hype train going.
Well, and Caitlin did say, she said, a week or so ago, that if they didn't make the Final Four, because last week is when they held tryouts, and she said, if we don't go to the Final Four, I'm definitely going to the tryouts. I mean, she made it sound as if, hey, you're damn right, I'd love to be an Olympian. So, come on, you got to put her on the team.
I think so.
This has some perfect storm elements to it. The timing of it, as Gigi just laid out, the Olympics, the WNBA season right after the Final Four. If they're going to keep this momentum going, this is a perfect storm.
It will not. It could if people quit watching because of the WNBA, it would reintroduce her to the sports world.
All right, about a minute or so left along the network. UConn, Purdue tonight. People are giving Purdue a great shot. A lot of people are. ESPN's likelihood to win thing gives them a 46% chance. Yeah, I love UConn tonight.
Love UConn. I think UConn wins. I think UConn covers. I would save Trent the juice.
I think Purdue's backcourt is in for a rough night. And if Edie is a glorified push, I don't know how Purdue beats a good team if Edie's advantage is not a big advantage.
Well, and to your point about the backcourt, I mean, Braden Smith for Purdue in particular had a really rough game against NC State, and he's got to bounce back in a big way. I like Purdue. Rooting for UConn.
Unbelievable. The Big Ten guy just leaving his conference on the lam right there. Unbelievable, Trent.
Why can't it be Illinois? Why couldn't it be Illinois in this position?
Because they're not good enough. That's why.
Because UConn went on a 30-0 run against them. That's why. Bonus hours next.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready for an event like no other? Join Jason and Todd at the Diamond District this weekend for their exclusive estate buying and selling event. It's time to dust off the old jewelry and dig out those fine timepieces you no longer wear. The Diamond District will pay top dollar for your unwanted treasures. Why let your valuable pieces gather dust when they could be putting cash in your pocket? That's not all. For those looking for exquisite jewelry at unbeatable prices, the Diamond District has you covered with a stunning selection of estate jewelry, meticulously curated and priced to sell. From dazzling diamonds and exotic gemstones to timeless Rolex watches, you'll find the perfect piece to elevate your style. Join the Diamond District this weekend for their estate buying and selling event, where they pay more for your jewelry and fine timepieces and sell for less. Don't miss out. Jason and Todd are in the store nearly every day and look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Jotharian, what do you mean the NIL system? I mean, Caitlin Clark, Juju Watkins, I mean, they're all getting paid.
Yeah, but it's not to the level the men are. I mean,
well, in Caitlin's case, it's more. Did you see the SNL bit?
I did not.
So they did a takeoff on, I think, Ernie, Kenny, and Chuck commenting. And I guess the line from the guy who was playing Barkley was, she's got endorsement deals, and they rattled off 4 companies. And he said, I'm mad. I only have 3 of those.
Really happy the Brahmas won for John.
This is UFL, right?
Yeah.
Or no?
I only said that because that was the only team I knew the nickname of, David. When he asked it was San Antonio or whoever, I'm like, you got to take the Brahmas because that's actually the only team nickname I knew other than the Michigan Panthers.
I don't even know. I know the Birmingham Stallions are in the league.
Yes, you're right. They are.
I don't know anyone else in the league. I have not even paid attention.
So my grandma, who I think is watching right now, she watches the
Hi,
bonus
Grandma.
hour. Hello, Grandma. She texted us yesterday on our family thread and just said, good morning, everyone. Have a great day. Go Panthers. I was like, yes. She loves football. Any football.
Wow. Grandma. That's a sign and not a good one.
All the way from Hemlock, Michigan. That was
Yeah,
Steve
but she's
Harvey.
perfect for this show. I mean, if she's cheering on the UFL, I mean that's a P1 for us.
You got that right.
She's our consultant. Our UFL consultant.
Hell, we could bring her on for a weekly correspondent if she wants to break the league down. Not like you got a bunch of people covering it.
Yeah, I bet your grandmother's cheering for Purdue.
Oh, I'm sure she is.
Unbelievable. You like Painter. What the hell?
I love Matt Painter.
And you're cheering for UConn.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to come around a little bit.
You can't. Oh no. You
They don't
cannot.
want you.
No.
The good news is I got
They
another
can't be a
12 hours to
disgrace.
think about it.
A disgrace, you called them the first week of the tournament.
And I'm gonna stick by that. But there's a few people that I'll be happy for if Purdue wins. But just
I'll tell you what, Roger across the hall.
Oh, he's giddy.
Here we go.
Purdue wins.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour on this Monday, Championship Monday. After the South Carolina women won yesterday, the UConn men try to go back to back. Hasn't been done since the Gators, 06, 07. So if you're a Florida fan, you're rooting for Purdue, right? You don't want anyone else to go back to back, right?
Absolutely. That's yours.
Even though you're rooting for a Big Ten team, and if you're an SEC fan, there aren't many
Yeah, but it's
conferences.
Purdue. It's not Michigan. It's not Ohio State.
Well, right. To everyone but Trent, Purdue is likable.
Well, and that's what's interesting is that I realized over the weekend because I was out a lot. And you don't see Purdue anything anywhere. If you know what I mean. Like there are not a lot of Purdue fans out there.
Nationally.
No.
Right.
Well, I mean, even in Indiana, they're more IU fans.
Correct.
They're really the little brother, if you know what I'm talking about.
Except we're on the court.
You have to be from West Lafayette or have gone there to be a Purdue fan.
Okay.
So boiler up. I picked UConn. I like being right. But because of Trent.
Don't blame this on me.
Oh, no. Trent, they are a disgrace. Bally is what you said.
I know. It was so intense 2 weeks ago. And yet he said that, but I love Matt Painter. What? Huh?
Matt Painter is probably my second favorite coach in all of basketball.
I mean, unbelievable.
And
Love
I don't
him.
think they want you. If we are way late for a poll question, but my poll question nomination would be, should Trent be allowed to root for Purdue? And I think the answer is unequivocally no.
Absolutely. Yes, no, hell no.
Right.
And I would agree with that. At this point, I've made my bet. I'll sleep in it. I get it. I'm going to try to be accountable
Made
here.
your bed. You're a campground, for goodness sake.
Sleeping on the floor. There are a lot of elements of this Purdue team, jokes aside, that are very, very likable. There are.
Yes.
A lot.
I know. It's why it took us back 2 weeks ago. We were shocked. You, nicest guy in the room. Just about every damn room you've walked into. And this animosity came out about, of all teams,
Purdue.
It's not the program. It's not Matt Painter. It's not the fan base. It's this particular team.
No, it's
drives me
one
nuts.
particular player.
Yeah, but he's the 2-time player of the year. He's 70% of the team. It's him. I can't stand him. I hate looking at the TV and seeing that shot of him staring up at the free throw, at the basket and dribbling his free throws. You see it 100 times a game. I'm over it. I'm over it.
Wow. Is this how they felt about Ewing back in the day? Okay, when they're like, oh, just could you get him to the NBA already, please? Get him off my screen. Is this how I felt? I could have sworn the only quarterback Michigan had in the 70s was Rick Leach. Okay, it's the only quarterback I knew.
Ewing was exciting. Ewing would be fun to watch. Flashy, blocking shots, slamming dunks home. Edey is not exciting to watch. You cannot tell me Zach Edey is exciting to watch.
I've got nothing for that one, David. Do you want to give it a shot?
No, I didn't say he's exciting. I didn't realize all this Zach Edey too. It's real because he's talking. I kind of like the young backcourt, and the transfer they got. I like. Love Matt Painter, second favorite coach of my life. Okay, but Zach Edey, he just wants to stab him in the neck.
Right.
He's just.
Well, were you hoping to be taller? You're not short, but were you hoping to be taller? Is that what this is?
Hoping to be a whole foot and a half taller.
I mean, this is it. This is his last game at Purdue. This is it. You don't have to subject yourself to this anymore.
That's why if it is Purdue cutting down the nets tonight, I can
just stopped. I can what?
I can compartmentalize. I can be happy for who I got to be happy for. I'm not going to be happy for myself. I'm not going to be happy they won it, but I can appreciate what it means to that fan base, that school, that coach.
And I will say, as somebody who grew up in the Northeast, it is difficult for me to not root for a Big East team when they're in a spot like this. I have an affection for the Big East. But, Mark, what I'm like. What does every fan deserve in their life?
A parade. To see their team win it all.
55 years to get back to this spot, by the way. Rick Moulton, the 69 team. 55. It was 1969. The first days of the Nixon administration. 55 years. Do you know how many games they've won? They've been a good basketball program for most of those 55 years. They've won a lot of Big Ten regular season and conference tournament titles. And Gator Dad in our Twitch chat room has totally nailed it. Pistons have to draft Edey. It'd be that's another one.
Now I want the second round pick for the Detroit Pistons to be Zach Edey.
And with the 57th pick, 2024 NBA
that
draft.
would be fantastic.
It would be amazing. In fact, now I don't know what I want more. Okay, what am I emptying that savings account for more? The Arkansas press conference with John Cal doing Woo Pig Suey, okay, or the Pistons drafting Zach Edey?
Well, I'll tell you what. A couple years ago, they drafted Luka Garza. Remember him? Big fella out of Iowa.
No.
How do you not remember Luka Garza?
Because he's nothing. That's why.
It's like 3 years ago. He was a National Player of the Year.
Yeah, right. I know. It was cute. It was fun. They lost in the first week of the tournament. I don't know what to tell you. Or as you call them, a disgrace. Right. So Mark, in fact, I want the Pistons to trade up. Wherever it is in the draft, I want them to trade up. And I don't care if it's a spot. I just want to be able to hold it over Trent. The Pistons traded up to get Zach Edey. That's all I want to be able to say.
Put it this way, David. I might buy a Pistons Zach Edey jersey just to wear it.
For Jersey Thursday?
For Jersey Thursday.
Well, he's going to have to pick a new number because 15's in the rafters for the microwave. Shout out, Vinny.
By the way, Edie's about 4 feet taller than microwave too. Man. So normally, and I like Hurley, you know, the whole family, the big Jersey connection with St. Anthony's. We had, you know, the old man on the show years ago. Normally, I root for UConn. I like UConn. I loved crusty Jim Calhoun. Okay, I loved it when he stood up there at the press conference and the state was having budget problems, and the reporter couldn't even get the question out if he would give any of his money back, and he said, "Not a dime, not a damn dime." Well, you know, they're having trouble for money for education and food for kids. And he said, "Don't care. Not a dime." All right. I like UConn. I always have. They're not a likable program. I've always liked them. They're
You are right there. They're not a likable program.
They're not. They're very Northeast. They're not a likable program. They're very Northeast. And I love them. But tonight, come on, man. Chance at a parade. Plus, it took 55 years to get back to this game. I mean, honestly, Matt Painter is going to do this for another 10, 12, 15 years. Right now, will Matt Painter and Purdue ever get back to this night? Yes or no?
No.
Nope. Got to bet no. Even though consistently they're an excellent program. Excellent program. They're not, I mean, they were top over the last dozen years. They were one of the 10 best programs in the country.
Yep, they win the conference. They win the conference tournament.
Yes.
They don't miss the big dance.
No. I mean, he's been a 1 seed, 3 times?
Sounds right.
But so, I mean, come on, Mark. It's a parade, man.
No, I got you.
The parade. I mean, don't you have to root for the parade?
Or are you rooting for back-to-back? Seeing something historic? Because this team is, I mean, this Connecticut team's special.
It is. These two teams, by the way, are 70-7 so far this year combined. 36-3 against 34-4. That's not bad. That'll play. And besides, this will be his last game at UConn before he takes the Kentucky job.
You can't help yourself with that, can you?
Well, they're gonna offer it to him. I mean,
And they're
he?
going to offer it to him 30 seconds. I mean, the offer's already with his agent. Present it the minute the game's over.
One shining moment. We're
Right.
calling Danny Hurley.
They're talking to his agent now. They are. And his agent's not bothering him. Okay, and he'll let him have the night and what have you. But before he goes to sleep, he's going to say, "Just so you know, Kentucky's called." Okay. Congratulations or whatever. Good night. We'll talk tomorrow. I'll let you know what the offer is.
Not many other options out there for Kentucky to go after. And that's like a blue chip guy, right?
We've named the three.
I mean,
It's Jay Wright,
you've named
Billy
Ray
Donovan, and it's Danny Hurley.
And of the three of them, the most likely to take the job, do you think is Danny Hurley?
Yeah.
No, I think it's Billy Donovan.
Ooh. Do you know what is amazing? Calipari, in the last handful of years, last 10 years, he turned down the Cavs when the Cavs said, "Hey, LeBron's coming back. All right. Do you want the job?" No. He turned down the Lakers job a handful of years ago, and he turned down the UCLA job before they hired Cronin.
Do you know what none of those jobs have? Arkansas money.
Tyson Foods.
Didn't even have to dip into the Walmart money to get him paid.
Nope. Walmart's handling Sam Pittman in the football program. Tyson Foods is handling the basketball program. We're good. Think about that, though. He turned down LeBron and the Cavs. He turned down the Lakers with LeBron. And he turned down UCLA, a blue blood, all to do Woo Pig Suey at a press conference. I'd pay Arkansas NIL money to see it. I really would.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready for an event like no other? Join Jason and Todd at the Diamond District this weekend for their exclusive estate buying and selling event. It's time to dust off the old jewelry and dig out those fine timepieces you no longer wear. The Diamond District will pay top dollar for your unwanted treasures. Why let your valuable pieces gather dust when they could be putting cash in your pocket? That's not all. For those looking for exquisite jewelry at unbeatable prices, the Diamond District has you covered with a stunning selection of estate jewelry, meticulously curated and priced to sell. From dazzling diamonds and exotic gemstones to timeless Rolex watches, you'll find the perfect piece to elevate your style. Join the Diamond District this weekend for their estate buying and selling event, where they pay more for your jewelry and fine timepieces and sell for less. Don't miss out. Jason and Todd are in the store nearly every day and look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Florida.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Breaking news. We are getting a second new computer in the studio.
It's all happening.
Wow. Took 18 years. It's not a joke. We went into that studio in the fall of '06. It's the same equipment.
So you guys were starting just after the Heat won in �06, right?
Yeah.
Like was that a big thing at the time, or was it just all?
No. It was a thing.
Okay.
I mean, it was. It was Shaq. It was D Wade. They went to the Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals the year before.
I will say it was slightly before that when I was doing mornings and David was doing afternoons. I did an hour and a half on the NBA and got calls. And I remember David came in the building and looked at me and goes, "How did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get NBA talk going?" Because
7 to 10 in the morning. And Mark was solo for about 18 months. He was like February, March, April of '05 until we joined forces in July of '06. And so, yeah, whether it was the '05 or the '06 playoffs, but he basically did an NBA show. I'm driving around making sales calls, listening to it. And I did. I pulled in and I said, "How the hell did you just do an NBA show?"
I still don't know.
Must have been the producer. I just thought we were wasting our time. We had very little. We basically we were having trouble, even from a staffing standpoint. And I'm just talking 2 producers, 2 hosts, and we were doing 7 hours of local radio. And it was just, I'm like, what are we doing? We were both doing sales. It was hard. I thought it was harder on Mark. You know, he had to be functioning by 7 a.m. and then transition right away at 10 o'clock and go into a sales day. I didn't like my day either because it ended too early. I mean, it was tough to even have a sales call after lunch because I had to worry about getting back to be on the air. Not only that, we had a general sales manager who never cut us any slack and gave us any help and held it against us that we weren't doing 8-9 hours of sales a day. It was hard.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun.
Unfortunately, it worked. Sales was still hard, but at least the show worked.
Well, you guys got a pretty damn good thing to sell.
Yeah, and we've always had a great signal, too. And it was so funny. They didn't support us for the longest time, and then they moved us to a 50,000 watt FM. And 8 minutes after doing it, didn't support us again. It was like, wait a minute. If you're putting us on this big stick, aren't you going to try to support this? It is weird. Then they get rid of us, and then they invest in sports talk radio. What? It's strange.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Final thoughts, a pick or two. We got a national title game to bet on. UConn -6.5. Over under of 146.5. So basically 77-70, give or take a half a point. That's the game. 77-70 UConn. That seems high scoring to me. I think Purdue's going to have trouble scoring. Like Purdue got the 63 against NC State. Over under right now. Does Purdue equal their point total that they had against NC State?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think they will, but not by much.
So if they get to, say, 66, that means you need UConn to get 80-81 to go over.
Yeah, I would bet UConn in the under.
Okay. We had Josh Pastner on a little over an hour ago. He thinks Purdue's going to try to slow this down. Limit the possessions. I'll tell you what, if you're Purdue, I mean, you played what? A C game against NC State? I mean, you're in the final. And you know, hell, in the region final, you were down 11 to Tennessee late first half. Here you are in the national semis. I mean, you can't put the ball in the ocean. Everybody's turning it over. I mean, you know, if they've got an A game in them, I mean, you know, the first 2 games when they were angry at the world and what have you, they played really well. But I don't know, have they played a B-plus game or better their last 3 games?
No, they haven't. And if they put up a C-plus, B-minus performance in the first half, the game will be over.
But the other way to look at it, though, is that, you know, hey, man, they've actually gotten here and haven't played their A game in a while. And they only need 1.
It's kind of how we felt about the Chiefs all season, right? I mean, disappointing season by their standards, but we all knew that they've got that guy under center, and if they turn it on and play their A game, they're clearly better than everyone else.
The problem is that if both of these teams play their A game, most of us believe UConn wins.
And I also don't think I think UConn can play Purdue's game. I don't think Purdue can play UConn's game. So to Josh's point, UConn's going to try, or Purdue, excuse me, is going to try to slow it down and play their game and make UConn come to them, which I think they can do. If it's vice versa, could be a blowout.
So 9:20 tonight, 12 hours from now on TBS. TBS.
And TNT, they've got it on all of them, I think.
Are they doing that?
I think they're showing it on all of them.
All right. Okay. Got it. Hey, I'm curious. You have a 9-year-old daughter. She get into Caitlin Clark at all?
Not a single bit.
Really? Okay.
Wanted Iowa to win, I think largely because she saw me watching them, but literally had to drag her downstairs and get her off of her tablet to sit with my wife and I. Now, on the other hand, my wife couldn't get enough of it. And my wife does not watch a lot of basketball. Probably her least favorite sport.
Of the big ones.
Okay. And, her comment to me most days is, so what do you have to watch today? Yesterday, she had some work to do, and as soon as she was done, she sat down on the couch, grabbed a beer, and said, let's watch some college basketball. So it resonated with her. It is next to impossible. I wish I could get my daughter to watch. Plays all of them. Could not care less to watch a sport on television. Not any of them.
Well, she'll get old here in a few years, 3-4 years. She'll start slowing down, so she'll make the transition from the field to the couch.
I did learn, though, she played in a softball tournament. One, I was just astonished how good the softball is in Fort Myers of the young ladies that play. I was blown away by how good their program is. I was also informed how much my daughter hates her parents rooting for her. She played catcher for the first time on Sunday. And, the bleacher seats are right behind the plate. The looks we got. She definitely has her dad's ability to give someone the stare of death.
She wasn't very gentle in the face.
Not at all. 2 highlights of the weekend. That was one. That was the second highlight. The first highlight was in the first game on Saturday, in which she thought a pitch was outside, and it was called a strike. And you could see her go, "What?
You can't be serious."
Well, little did she know Angel Hernandez was behind the plate.
Yep. Wide strike zone in these games.
Did you see what he did yesterday in the Yankees-Jays game?
No.
So it's a 3-2 pitch by the Toronto pitcher. The pitcher steps back off the mound, doesn't reset his foot, and goes into the windup and delivers a pitch. Well, Gleyber Torres sees that, and he steps back. He puts his hand out like, wait a minute, hold on. And the pitch is a borderline. It looked a little high. Okay, curveball. And Angel rings him up, strike 3. Glaber's like, hold on a second, that's a balk. Boone comes running out. It's like, that's a balk. And Angel's like, no, it's not. But here's my thing. There's 3 other umpires there. Are they not paying attention? Are they on your daughter's tablet? I mean, what are they doing?
I just pulled it up. It's not even a strike for one, and then it should have been a balk.
And
Yes.
it's clearly a balk. I mean, you show it when you're teaching umpires what a balk is. It's so ridiculous. And none of the other umpires came in and said, yeah, no, he had stepped off. His foot was not. Unbelievable.
And you can't review it.
No. I honestly, if we had Rob Manfred on, the first question would be, so what exactly has to happen to fire Angel Hernandez? Because apparently he's the only person in the sport who can't lose their job. You can lose your job. All the GMs and managers can lose their job. And goodness knows the players can be released. Then later in the game, there's a Yankee pitcher who's trying to deliver a pitch, and Hernandez twice comes out from behind the catcher and basically says, "No, man, you got to make eye contact with me." The pitcher's staring at him like, "What the hell's your problem? Just get back behind the catcher. I'm trying to throw a pitch." The players are laughing at him now. Honestly, they're accepting all these bad calls, and they're just turning around and they're just laughing. No one's arguing anymore.
I don't understand. I've never understood a union in any walk of life I know the point is to stand behind all employees, but when the one employee is making the rest of you look bad, why do you want that one employee?
Well,
I don't understand it. I've never understood it.
He's also keeping a job. There's somebody at AAA who would get a gig, who would get promoted. I mean, it's not like if you get rid of him, he's not going to get replaced. Of course he's going to get replaced. Yeah, you're next man up. You mean I'm waiting for you guys to get rid of Angel Hernandez? Yeah. Oh, good. I'm going to be here a while then. It's stunning how bad he is. I mean, you would never, ever have a player in the field and at the plate who was that consistently bad. There's no organization that could defend why it is we're giving at-bats to this player.
Or a manager or a GM,
right,
David.
If they were this bad, no organization could justify it. So how can Major League Baseball? And you're right, Mark. If I'm the other umpires, I'm like, oh, for goodness sakes, can we get rid of him already? He's giving us a bad name.
A terrible name.
And casual fans know his name.
And that's a bad thing.
It's horrible.
Not only that, he sued Major League Baseball. He's still suing them. I mean, how much more does he have to do to alienate himself from the game? Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today's the day when. It's all next.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready for an event like no other? Join Jason and Todd at the Diamond District this weekend for their exclusive estate buying and selling event. It's time to dust off the old jewelry and dig out those fine timepieces you no longer wear. The Diamond District will pay top dollar for your unwanted treasures. Why let your valuable pieces gather dust when they could be putting cash in your pocket? That's not all. For those looking for exquisite jewelry at unbeatable prices, the Diamond District has you covered with a stunning selection of estate jewelry, meticulously curated and priced to sell. From dazzling diamonds and exotic gemstones to timeless Rolex watches, you'll find the perfect piece to elevate your style. Join the Diamond District this weekend for their estate buying and selling event, where they pay more for your jewelry and fine timepieces and sell for less. Don't miss out. Jason and Todd are in the store nearly every day and look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Okay, David, here's one for you. Caitlin Clark scored more points this season than Iowa football scored during her time as a Hawkeye.
I know. I saw it. Great.
That's unbelievable. Oh. And the Hawkeyes win it 7-3.
They bring a lot of people back, too.
I think Arkansas should shell out some of that NIL money to Jack Golke. Kentucky wins that game. I don't think Cal's gone.
No, I mean,
they win a game in the tournament, get upset second round.
Well, they would have played NC State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a 10-year-old in this tournament that was easily a foot taller than my daughter. She took one to the fence. It's an under 10 softball game, and she hit one to the fence. She was good. We have one pitcher who can throw, and she threw, and her dad's a coach, and her dad, because she threw fastballs, girls all over. She tried to throw a changeup, and this girl waited on it, went the other way with it, and took it to the fence. It was,
oh wow,
it was really an impressive piece of hitting. I was like, I'll be damned. Pitcher's dad just looked at me and went, well, okay.
Yeah. Tip your hat.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Better get a nap in, David, because you got 12 hours until.
You're right. Well, not only that, I got to attend this damn eclipse event.
What? Why do you have to go?
I got invited. Your daughter invites you. If you don't
is your granddaughter dressing up as the moon or the sun?
Okay, listen, I just have to be seen by my daughter. I don't even have to be seen by my granddaughter. I just have to be seen by my daughter. Hey, I'm here. All right. Yep. I love you guys. Yes. Oh, I know. Isn't this amazing? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, we didn't do one of these for you, you know. Yeah, I know, Guillermo. Man, everybody getting it. I just think it shows how miserable people are. I just think they want to celebrate something. So we're celebrating an eclipse. I think they're celebrating the fact it's not the end of the world. Even though they're miserable in the current world they're living in, they're just celebrating the fact that it's not the end of the world.
People are driving to the optimum point of the country.
Oh, if you look at the Airbnb like rentals where they're full this week, it's that span from like, Texas through the Tennessee and Kentucky up to New York. That's where they're all renting places. Well, we had someone in the Twitch chat room said his kids went to Arkansas to camp.
Right. And John Cal's going to be with them.
As Guillermo says, to get in the shade.
What's more unlikely, an eclipse or the Kentucky men's basketball coach leaving for Arkansas? That should have been our poll question. Damn.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before our time is up. We just thought of our poll question. Can't throw it out there now. It's a little late in the show, but we should have asked, what's more unlikely, an eclipse or the men's basketball coach at Kentucky leaving for Arkansas? That's a tough one.
I mean, we're really underselling this eclipse. I hope we're not offending you eclipse people out there that are very excited about today. You're going to an eclipse party.
I am. It's for 2 and 3 year olds, though. I mean, And I'm just going because unfortunately my daughter invited me. And so it's one of those, if I don't go, is that a sign of disrespect? You know, why did we move here? We moved here for the daughter and the granddaughter. So then you get invited to something. Not only that, Mark, it's not even 2 miles from my damn house. I mean, you know, I'm totally set up here. Totally set up. Like they moved, they live 25 minutes away, but she goes to this daycare, preschool, whatever we're calling it, and it's 2 miles from my condo. And so I'm totally set up. I mean, if I don't go, then you know what that means. I don't love them anymore.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me if I don't go, how that will be perceived.
Oh, you're a terrible grandfather.
I'm an
and
awful
father.
Right. I'm an awful human being, and he obviously doesn't love us anymore. Right. And that's just from my wife. Never mind from my daughter.
Today in 1904, New York City made a good change. Longacre Square was no longer Longacre Square. It became Times Square because the New York Times moved to the area. That's the reason behind it.
Well, that's when it was, respected and a big deal.
Saracen wins the Masters today in 35.
Well, he made that two.
Yes.
On 15. That came in handy.
Today in 68, Major League Baseball postponed opening day because of the MLK assassination. Hank Aaron hits number 715 today in 74.
It's why I'm a sportscaster. I was 8 years old. I remember it vividly. It's the first of the 2 times that my grandfather called over to the apartment and said, "Get him out of bed. He needs to watch this. It's important." And I fell in love with Kirk Gowdy. I just thought, because I knew I'd never be Hank Aaron. Even then, Mark, I knew. Pudgy catcher, okay, I wasn't going to be Hank Aaron. But I'm like, I could be Kirk Gowdy.
Today in 76, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers used the first pick to take Leroy Selman.
That's a good pick.
That was a good pick. 1990, Nick Faldo goes back-to-back at the Masters.
You think about both those that he won. He won because the Hoke and Floyd blew them both. I mean, Hoke missed a 2-footer for par on 10. 2 feet. He makes it and he wins. Faldo made bogey. And then the next year, Floyd, for whatever reason, he rushed going to the bathroom and was worried about the sun setting, and then came back and then put the shot in the water on 11.
I found this little tidbit interesting because the stadium is such a dump. Today in 1991, the Oakland A's become the first stadium to ban smoking. You would think they'd want them to smell the cigarettes as opposed to the sewage that was all around the place.
Now they're banning the A's. Hello.
Tiger wins the Masters today in 01.
That completed the Tiger Slam.
Zach Johnson gets his today in 07. Bubba wins in 2012. Louisville wins the title over Michigan today in 2013.
Yeah, that's the one they don't get to claim anymore.
Right.
The banner's in the closet somewhere.
Everybody was really excited today in 2018 when Patrick Reed won the Masters.
Especially his parents and sister, who haven't talked to him in 10 years.
At least. And Virginia beats Texas Tech today in 2019 for the Natty. Ponce de Leon, Sonia Henning, Betty Ford, John Havlicek, Catfish Hunter, Gary Carter, and Biz Marquis would have all celebrated birthdays today.
What a mixed bag that is.
And you say he's just a friend. Jim Lampley, 75, and C.D. Lamb's 25. What did I miss, David?
Frank Robinson. Did you have that? Made his debut today? He was the first black manager in Major League Baseball. Player manager for the Indians on this day in 75. Man, do you think we'll ever have one of those again?
No.
Joe Torre was player manager for at least a year with the Mets. Pete Rose was player manager for his final year in baseball with the
Not by
Reds.
name. We'll never have one again. I mean, LeBron is now.
Well, is he player coach or player GM?
Both.
Listen, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just not. And we're both fans, but you
Right.
know, there's a little something to that. So, all right.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Virginia for the good, where Ryan Pash is a Lyft driver. And instead of leaving a tip on the app, a driver gave him a $5 cash tip. Good for him. So when he stopped for gas at the 7-Eleven, he said, I'm going to get a scratcher. And that $5 cash tip turned out to be a $150,000 prize on a scratcher. So good for you, Ryan.
Nice.
And good for whoever gave the cash tip. For the bad, we go to China, where apparently their pet cafes are a lot bigger than our pet cafes because someone left the door open at the pet cafe and 100 huskies escaped from the pet cafe and were running loose through a mall. They were able to round up the dogs. Shoppers had a little tougher time. Finally, the ugly. We go to Southfield, Michigan, suburban Detroit, where an argument at a Chipotle turned ugly. The argument stemmed over guacamole. I'm not making this up. When the customer pulled out a gun and shot the employee in the leg over a guacamole argument.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm not a guac guy. What could you be arguing? What is the layers to a guacamole argument?
Not enough? Overcharging? I'm not sure. But the suspected shooter is a 31-year-old Detroit man, according to police. He was taken into custody after fleeing the scene after shooting the employee over guacamole. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, April the 8th, 2024.
No association tonight. The NBA gives men's college basketball their night. They don't play tonight. Find that interesting.
Well, if there was a game at 7, you could probably watch the whole thing before the national title game.
Exactly. But no game scheduled. Just so you know, but getting back to the eclipse, you do know the Marlins-Yankees game today was scheduled for either 2 or 4 o'clock, and they moved it to 6 because of the eclipse. I'm not kidding. It was a big thing last week in New York. So
never schedule against an eclipse.
Apparently not. And so the Marlins-Yankees game, which was supposed to be an afternoon game today, by the way, one team's 8-2, the other team's 1-9. We're 10 games into the season. The Yankees lead the Marlins by 7. But just thought the Rays are still out west. They're playing the Angels. 9:30 tonight.
What'll be over first? Rays, Angels, Natty.
Oh, the Natty. I mean, yeah, Natty. It starts like 18 minutes earlier.
Yeah. And you're right.
Although, here's the fair question. What ends first? Rays, Angels, one shining moment.
I think it'll be one shining moment.
That's like midnight. One shining moment's about midnight.
Trent, you will stay up for one shining moment, won't you?
Yeah.
I mean, because the second the game's over, I'm going to bed. If I have to stay up for the end of it, because it could be a blow up.
It could. I will stay up for one shedding moment. I will not text you guys about it because A, you guys don't care, and B, you will both be checking out.
Actually, I keep mine on silent. I sleep through texts. Like my phone does not make noise when I receive a text.
We know.
Right. So you can text me anytime you want. This just in before we get to the NHL. My mother has texted me to say that not only will my wife and daughter think that I don't love them anymore, but my mother thinks if I don't go to the Eclipse party, that it is a huge violation and that she will also come to the conclusion that I do not love my daughter and granddaughter anymore.
Do they have glasses that will fit you?
Hell no. There's really? This is a place that 2 and 3-year-olds. You think they have glasses to cover this melon?
I want a picture of you in Eclipse glasses.
I'm not going to wear them. I'm not going to look at it. I'm literally going to be there to be seen. Did you see me? I'm here. Yes, I love you. I got to go. I mean, I don't want to sound like, Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm, but that's basically what I'm going to show up to this thing as. Apparently Seinfeld on the last Curb, which aired last night. Okay, Seinfeld was on the show.
Outstanding.
Yeah. It got very good reviews for those that are into the show. If by chance you didn't see it, what have you. Apparently it got very good reviews.
And you better watch it before 2 o'clock because the eclipse is coming and everything could change after that. Could throw out cable, satellite. You may be forced to cut the cord because of the eclipse today.
Right. This is like Y2K. And the whole world was going to shut down. Nothing was going to work. 2 games in the NHL tonight. And they both have playoff ramifications. Penguins, who are
out of here.
Yes, they are. And Crosby's already at 40 goals. They're in Toronto to face the Leafs. The Leafs 4 points ahead of the Lightning with 5 games left. Toronto's probably going to finish third. By the way, Boston beat the Panthers in overtime Saturday, and that probably has given the Bruins a division.
Oh, yeah. I think most of the playoff seeding set really and truly in the East right now, David. Except for the bottom, if you know what I mean.
Right. So Penguins a point behind Detroit for the final playoff spot, and they play tonight in Toronto. Vegas and Vancouver as the battle for playoff seeding continues out west. Their playoff teams are pretty much locked in. St. Louis is barely mathematically alive, so the 8 teams out west are pretty locked in. And there you have it.
National championship, both Miller and Moulton taking UConn, Trent taking Purdue.
That is so
which
rich.
is so
rich.
I just think it feels like it's their time. There hasn't been a back-to-back champion since Florida. We beat that dead horse. Purdue just after losing to the 16 seed, they're going to complete the arc tonight. I
like
truly
Virginia
believe it.
did 5 years ago.
Yep. I think there's too much going Purdue's way. Too much good energy. And there's an eclipse. So
well, we have to get ready for a talking head show on ESPN television. How does the eclipse affect either tonight's UConn-Purdue game or LeBron's legacy?
More coming up later today on this very station.
And does the eclipse prove that the Cowboys are soft? We'll have more coming up. Do we have enough snark? No?
No.
No.
Dripping in snark right now.
Never enough and never too much.
Do you have UConn covering tonight, David?
I do.
I do as well. And Trent's taking the 6.5. Enjoy the game, everybody. Hopefully, we get a great one. And hopefully, the referees let the big guys play.
I think they will. But I think they're going to let everybody play. And that's why the UConn perimeter guys are going to suffocate the Purdue guards. We'll see. We'll talk tomorrow. David Sampson, Pat Kerwin on Miller and Moulton.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton.